Hello, Legionnaires. This is Max Adel from Legion of Myth, and I welcome you to Game Master Insight. I am truly grateful you are here with us for tonight's discussion. Game Master Insight is a forum where our panelists share their experiences, ideas, and advice on tonight's topic of the evolution of character progression and power. Whatever that happens to mean to you, we'll figure that out in a moment. But highlighting their unique experiences and perspectives. A special shout out to our first-time viewers. I really hope you enjoy this conversation. Share with your friends and come back again. Please consider supporting Legion of Myth, either directly here on YouTube and Rumble or as a silent supporter via Ko-Fi and whatever other links are in the description there. Rumble rants and super chats will be read at the end of each segment. If you rant or chat $50 or more, I will take a drink in your name. Please hype this video and subscribe to all of the panelist channels, which you can find in the description. And thank you for your time and support. Right, with all of that out of the way, let's meet our panelists, after which we will dive into our first conversation on defining growth and advancement metrics. So in our third chair today, you know what? She's in our third chair, but it's her first time here, and she gets to respond first. We have Vicky. Who are you? What content do you create? And what is your tabletop RPG experience?
Ooh, well, let me see. I started tabletop with D&D 2nd edition back in 1994.
Nice.
And I'm looking at Archmaster going, was that before you were born? Yes, thank you. Right now I feel justifiably old. So I am the co-creator of Untold Destiny with my husband Dean, who's over there. And yeah, I have played D&D. I've played 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 3.5, 4th, we won't mention that. 5th.
But you already did.
5th, I've also played Shadowrun, Earthdawn, played lots of games. I love role-playing. It is my all-time favourite hobby. At one stage, we were playing, I think, every week. Then we had to go to every 2 weeks. Since we've been focusing on the game design, we've had to cut it down quite substantially, but we will be getting back to our weekly games as soon as we can. But yeah, we've done an awful lot. And of course, we have play tested Untold Destiny via campaigns, one-shots, you name it. We've taken it from 1st level all the way up to 20th. So we've had loads of playing there. So yeah, I've been role playing a long time now.
Hey guys, check that out in the description there. There's a link. One of the 2 links goes to Untold Destinies, and if you have not already checked that out, then well, that's a you problem, and you need to fix that right now.
Totally. Go check it out.
All right, in the middle chair, we have Archmaster. Who are you? What content do you create? And what is your tabletop RPG experience?
Hello, I'm the Archmaster, also known as Matthias, the Archmaster. I feel like I have to tell people my name because, like, it's not a secret. Anyway, my tabletop gaming experience, because not RPGs, because I don't think RPGs exist. My tabletop adventure game experience is about, I think, 4 years, maybe 4.5. I don't think it's been that long. It was right after COVID, and a GM, D&D, is like, hey, let me just give you, like, we have nothing to do. We're just hanging out. We don't, I was in the middle of a move, so nothing was set up. So he's like, hey, let's just play D&D. I was like, what's D&D? I think I've maybe heard of this. And it was the greatest adventure ever. I died at the end. It was super awesome. But the thing is, he's like, hey, the game doesn't really start at 10th level, so we'll start you out D&D as a 10th level wizard. And I don't want to have to make you pick spells, so you get all the spells in the game. Like, you have all of them. Prepare whichever ones you want each day. And so I had this completely overwhelming experience, but it was mind-blowing. It was awesome. And from then on, for the last 4.5 years, I've written 5.76 million words about tabletop, philosophy, game design, my own setting, my own game system. I have my own game system out there, which you can access on Discord and Patreon and all sorts of things. Anyway, yeah, I've just been an enthusiast ever since I've been captured and had my rapt attention on trying to make a career out of this one day. And yeah, that's what I'm doing.
If there's one thing I'd like to tell you, if you're going to be in this hobby, you need a little more passion. All right, and then we got in the first chair. The panelist who will get us started is Dean. Who are you? What content do you create? And what is your tabletop RPG experience? Trick question for you, because you cannot give the same answer as Vicky.
Okay. I can't. Oh dear. I'm Dean. I've been playing role-play games for about Tabletop, 39 years. It's been longer when you take into account solo games. I remember buying Dragon Warriors, the book. It was designed for a table, but I didn't have any friends who played, so I actually played it as a solo adventure, loving it. So 39 years of experience playing all kinds of games, from sci-fi to fantasy, all of the D&D versions, including the one that shall not be named. And including some really weird stuff like Torg, if you've ever played something like that. Yeah, fantastic system. Star Wars, the D6 version, really good.
I forgot that one.
Yeah.
Yes, played Star Wars.
You're muscling it on my side. Oh,
I am.
Go back to yours.
See, this is why I have Arch in the middle to separate those two.
Need a fight.
Yes. So yes, with all of that experience and heavily house ruling games, I decided that with Vicky's help, we shall design a game that I'm not allowed to mention because she mentioned it. But if you haven't checked it out, there should be a link below. Go to Drive-Thru. It's a free level 1 taster. You can create level 1 characters and play the game for free right now. But not now. Watch the show.
Not now. Watch now. Watch the show.
There's always, you can open another tab.
Yeah.
Yes.
Admittedly, but we don't want to
Yes.
distract. They can do it afterwards. There's plenty of time. There is time for all things.
Yeah, the PDF isn't going anywhere. It's only going to get better.
What's Archmaster broken?
If you click on the middle button on your scroll wheel, it opens things in a new tab.
Nice.
So-
Watch everybody do it and they
Look
alt
at all
F4 out of their
these youngsters
computer.
with
Alt F delete, yeah.
button pressing, no.
It'll be that time I was on a raid in WoW and someone mentioned Alt F4 doing something special and half the raid quit.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into our first conversation here. So before discussing power curves, we need to define what advancement is supposed to represent. And that obviously could be different things to different people. Growth might mean numerical strength, might mean new options or stronger character identity, deeper motivation, greater influence in the setting, or some mix of those elements. And we will start with Dean. What are your thoughts on that?
So when thinking of character growth, it all depends on the system I'm playing. So if, for example, I'm doing a Shadowrun character, my growth is about getting more gear, getting more renowned, getting more contacts. Not so much on the skills. It's hard to take your skills up, hard to take your stats up. You're spending a lot of karma, but there's so many other ways to grow your character. When I think D&D, especially second edition, it was getting that THAC0 down as low as you possibly could, getting the magic gear to boost your attributes or to give you incredible abilities, and to get the best armor you possibly could. Get all those gadgets and magic items to allow you to survive the more difficult adventures. On other systems, growth can just purely be moving through the story and covering more as you go along. I'm reminded of I took part in a Warhammer Fantasy campaign, Power Behind the Throne, I think it was, and Warhammer Fantasy has a weird way where you kind of change your careers as you grow, but they only give you these small little increases. So if your weapon skill is +1 from your previous career and the next career you go to has a +1, you don't get anything, because you're not advancing your weapon skill. So your career development was it was a little bit stranger in that you were trying to find these sort of careers that would increase your character's abilities, but it was more about driving the story forward. I found it was more trying to uncover what was happening. There was something rotten happening behind the throne, and it was all about trying to get the story moving forward. And then I'm reminded of when I played Middle-earth roleplay, and that was fantastic because you had your levels in that, you had your little boxes you ticked. I love the boxes. And for me it was gaining power was all about trying to focus your character. What did you want to be really good at? Where were you going to tick the boxes? And then the spell lists, because I was playing a ranger and it was those spell lists, and it's I'm only going to tick these 3 spell lists. I've got like a 10% chance of learning each one, and then you roll and I didn't learn any, but next level I'll have a 20% chance of learning them all, rather than focusing on one. The short answer, I think, for me is it varies depending on who you're talking to and what system they're playing. But there are so many facets to growth, character growth or power growth within a game. And yeah, hopefully that gets the ball rolling. What do you two think?
Well, I have 2 things. One, I see, progression, growth, etc. I think growth is more of a specific term. Progression is more broad, so I'll go with that one. I see your character progression as essentially one thing. It is the ability to do new things that you couldn't do before, right? That could be a vertical progression where your damage goes up, and now the new thing you can do is kill that dragon where you just couldn't do enough damage previously, right? That can be the new thing. Or it can be horizontal progression where now you have a totally new ability where now you can walk on walls or fly or breathe water or whatnot. And that also lets you do a new thing you couldn't do before. You can now fly, but it can also have a secondary new thing you can do. Now you can also kill that flying creature that you couldn't before, right? So no matter if it's a vertical progression where your numbers are going up or it's a horizontal progression where you're gaining new abilities, the whole point of progression is now I can do something that I couldn't do before, right? But even then, the second part is that goes into my, like the way I think of it is I'm a blurry mess today. The way I think of it is my philosophy on life and gaming, which is everything falls into one or more of the 4 pillars: freedom, power, status, mystery. So when you can do a new thing, you can do a new thing in the realm of freedom, or the realm of freedom, going somewhere, doing something like a new experience, a new place you can go, right? Power, something that you can, exert your will on the world, shape something, make something happen. New status, like, oh, now this new thing I can do is talk to the king, or, have followers or whatnot, or now I'm a prince or whatnot. And then new mystery, learning stuff. So, uncovering mystery. So I think progression is now you can do something that you couldn't before, and it always falls into something new in the realm of either freedom, power, status, or mystery. That's kind of the whole point of progression to me.
You see, for me, it's how the character feels. And everyone's going to go, the girls talking about feelings, but not that sort of feeling. What I've always found is when I'm progressing a character, regardless of whether it's a horizontal or a vertical progression, as you've mentioned, it's the stuff I can actually achieve and how that makes me feel whilst I'm doing it. I love, Dean will tell you this, I'm a nightmare for it. To Anna, one of my characters, we actually got to a very high level. We ended up being part of lots of guilds. I actually had a tower. I designed this tower down to the nth degree. And I mean, I sat there every single level, everywhere where the furniture was. That to me is part and parcel of progression. It wasn't just the levels. It wasn't just the additional skills I had. It was also the fact I was starting to get into the realm of domain play. It meant we were actually building our own guilds. We were actually starting to get our fortresses together. I had an apprentice called Todd. I saved a green dragon egg, which I would not let another party member fry. And I actually nurtured this dragon egg as an experiment of nurture versus nature at the time. And it was the ability to not just do the things in the adventures, but also to wrap things around those adventures. And because we were high enough level, we were able to do these things. And we all worked together as a group to set up our fortresses. I had my tower on the end, and that made so much difference to me. Now, Dean will tell you, he's been my GM for eons, that at the end of every session, I'm pretty much, have we leveled yet? Because I also love gaining those additional spells. I love getting the additional hit points. I love that sort of thing. But to me, the main focus of progression has always been what I can do with the character in relation to the story, its situation in the world. And that just makes you feel good. And when you're doing it as a group, so it's not just one person on their own, you're all working together to create something bigger than yourselves. That in itself, it just brings something else to the tabletop role-playing experience. So it's not just what's written on the page, it's what you do as a team working together. There you go. You can talk about your maths.
Maths. I don't think anybody's taught maths yet.
I know what you like, though. It'll happen, guys. It will happen. Those two, maths.
Yes, indeed. So you prefer more how you prefer exploring through tabletop more so how the characters interact with each other, how they relate to each other, and specifically how you feel when you are embodying them and the emotional immersion into that space.
Yes, and just for the avoidance of doubt, I absolutely love combat. This is not sitting around in corners talking about feelings. Right, Dean will tell you this now. If I don't get a combat, at least one combat, there's trouble. I am very much combat focused, but I feel that for progression, you get all the stuff that it makes you better in combat. You get additional spells, but I think that when you start hitting that sort of domain play, and I think that's what the official term for it is. I call it, I want my wizard's tower and I want it now. When you're entering that level, that gives you that sense of progression. It's not just you've hit X level, you've actually achieved something else. You've got a base, you've got a center of operation. You have got a place in the world, and you can do things with that, and you can influence more than just the next combat. You can influence politics, you can influence a lot more. So it's a lot about influence, it's a lot about the locale you're in and what you can do there. -4 to my feelings roll.
So, what do you guys think about a game? Well, let's compare two games. Got to do it. I blame Dean. Everybody get ready to drink. Let's compare Earth Dawn to Traveler. And the reason I'm picking Earth Dawn is because anybody who's played it, this is going to be very blatant. You could also pick D&D as well. One of the things about Earth Dawn is when you, for lack of a better term, level up, you go from 0 to anime Dragon Ball Z. But in Traveler, there really is no level up, so to speak. Now, I know somebody really pedantic out there is going to be like, well, you actually can get skills. Okay, but compared to other games, what you roll up is kind of what you keep playing for a long time until you get into the right environment to get new skills or new powers or new whatever. But the difference there is you increase your ship. You get a better gun. You might get better armor. So there's other ways of growing. And this is what you guys have been saying. I'm compiling all this together. Mm-hmm. But what are your thoughts on the comparison between those two? There's some people like, they've got to have the level up. I have to see in numbers that I am getting better. And other people like, man, do you notice that the slow trickle, we got better over time. And remember when we had that garbage scow over there, and we had one gun that we had to hang out the window and shoot, and hopefully the oxygen didn't all fly out. Now here we are in a capital ship, dictating what happens in this sector. What are your thoughts on that disparity?
Well, I love the fact that you say first level and you come across, say, a group of goblins, and it's really hard. And I love the fact that later on, you come across the same group of goblins and you actually overcome it far easier. And that's nice because that gives you a sense of, whoa, look, we've got harder. And I quite enjoy that. But, when you have a look at, I loved Earth Dawn. I was a windling. It drove Dean insane.
Of course you were. That makes sense.
Yeah. It was, the whole party were windlings. I'm not joking. Dean was like, oh no.
What?
We all went windlings. We went windlings, every single one of us. But we actually managed to get to the point where 2 of us were joint governors of a city. And we would fight over everything. So much so that another party member created a game called The Fighting Governors that he then sold at this big arena. Now, that in itself was a power trip because, we had fighting governors. But as the windlings, we'd become so powerful. We were going out and we were beating things when we were on adventures that earlier on were destroying us. It's a real shame that one of the party members didn't tell us about this sword that was talking to him, which got us all killed.
Oh, nice. Yeah, just so folks know, windlings are like 18 inches tall, and you could technically be a windling warrior if you want. I don't suggest it, but you could, and you're going to be, it's not dying. It's not dying. It's not dying. You're going to be doing that for a long time. But the way the game is built, that power, I wouldn't even call it power creep. It's intentional. That power grows. It is definitely a game where power goes up and up. Don't get me wrong. It has this horizontal axis too, with, you know, threaded items and terms that other people out there aren't gonna grasp. So I won't go into it, but it definitely has this horizontal mechanic, but it is definitely a vertical power game.
Yes, and it is really good fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can see Dean cogitating. I can see the wheels going round in his head. I can hear it from here.
Cogitating is such a good word to actually use. I only ever see it written. It's so nice to hear someone say it.
I say it. It's one of my favorite words.
It's a good word. We
Yes.
need more Tolkien-esque vocabulary. I'm in America. My vocabulary has descended to the depths because I'm surrounded by the poorest vocabulary possible. I need to spend more time around people like you.
Merca.
Merca, yes.
Yeah. I think Earthdawn solved a lot of those sort of problems by having that incremental growth in between levels. If you think it is a problem, gaining a level and suddenly gaining all this power, where you had to increase skills over a period of time, and then when you had a certain number of qualifying skills, you could then gain the level, gain the additional health, and become a lot more powerful. And it was that gradualness. But the problem with that is it came with a lot of baggage. You had a lot of bookkeeping. You know, you had to remember how much legend, what you'd spent it on, and all the rest of it. I think I had spreadsheets to keep track of everybody's characters because it was so easy to lose track of what you spent where and your progression. As I said, as the intro, gear is a great way of reflecting growth of a character. And we see it in films and stuff like that. You know, Batman Begins, he hasn't got much. He's getting his gear together. The next one with the Joker, he's now got a fantastic, really good souped up car and all the rest of it. I know he had that in the first one, but it got even better. And then he had the bike added to it. And it's that gear that keeps upgrading to show that you're growing, you're getting better, you're more capable. Nerds. Yes. Do you know what? It's Traveller. I've played the computer game of Traveller. I've never had the opportunity to play it around the table, and it's a real shame because it sounds like a fantastic game. But having it, I know there are a lot of games where it is only the gear, really. Once you created your character is fairly static, and it's really only the gear that advances your character. But I don't see that really as being any different to, I'm level 2, I've gained this ability. I'm this far through the adventure, I've gained this item that gives me an ability. And I think it's just flavors of the same kind of progression. It's just done differently to suit the style of the game, to suit the, some people you talk to them about, oh, it's a class-based game with levels, and they go, oh, I don't do class bases with levels. But then you turn around and say it's a completely open. There are no classes, but there are archetypes, and there are no levels, but you can improve your skills and get better. And they're like, oh yeah, that sounds much better. So more or less the same sort of stuff done differently. But yeah, it's gear. I like it when there's a combination gear, skills. As Archmaster said, it's that bit of vertical, but also the horizontal. And I think if you've got a system that puts them both together well, that's good. Too much vertical, and you quickly outpace threats that that are lower level. You quickly outpace them, and you're having to constantly hit bigger and bigger and bigger threats. And the problem with that is you then begin to live in a world where you got these huge threats that have to be in the world. So why haven't they annihilated stuff? Because they're these massive threats that you take on at 10th, 12th, 15th level. And, in reality, if they were existing in the world, they would have done far more destruction than waiting for you to come along and deal with them. And I think
Marvelous,
it creates a little bit. It is marvelous, actually. Yeah. Where you got to kind of engineer the threat suddenly appears from somewhere, and then you've now got to deal with it. Otherwise, if it existed in the world, it would just overwhelm that area. Yeah, Marvelesque. It's one of the things I liked about when doing Middle Earth, and I think the One Rings tried to keep it, which is to make sure everything is advancement, you got advancement, but it's not the big leaps of advancement. It's a lot smaller increments. So things that are low level still remain a threat as you go up the levels, albeit less of a threat. And things that are higher level can still be taken down if there's enough things attacking it, but there will be a higher death toll. So you could take a squad of like 50 people and take down a big creature, but probably half of them will die in the process. Whereas you take a high level adventuring party, they could probably take it on. And I think I prefer that kind of progression, where it's more horizontal, less vertical, but the verticality is still there, so that you got your stratospheres of threats, and you got that feeling of growth.
Let's be honest. In the real world, if somebody like me, let's put me back in my teenage years, it started at age 14, 15 or whatever, went to the gym, picked up boxing, I'd be a lot. To be fair, I did martial arts, but let's just do boxing for the example. I'd probably be a much better fighter now than I was before I went there. The thing is, I'm still 5'9". I'm still not the biggest guy in the world, and sure, I could work on some of that, but there are limits to that. I'm never going to be an anime character, so to speak. So I kind of like the idea of what you were saying, where it's like, yeah, you can grow, you can improve. We all do it in aspects of our life, but there's a cap for each person. Now, do you want to put that in a game? Maybe not. But if you have the cap be the game itself, again, that horizontal over the vertical, you can have some verticality. I can't fight Mike Tyson ever in my life. That would just be a joke. Would not be something that I should even try. Other people maybe now can, but they had to put years and effort into it because those folks trained for years to get to that point. But he's still human. A bullet will still take him down.
Yeah, totally. I have to admit, I do find that power sort of increase can get overwhelming if it's too vertical and too much. It does tend to throw things completely out of balance.
How was the last Pathfinder game we played?
Oh God,
we got to about 12th level, I think, in that before I threw the towel in. The power creep, the progression there was just, it was stupid. And it was one of the design things that I didn't like about 3rd edition and Pathfinder, which is there's so much vertical growth. But because of the way your skill points work, and you constantly having to invest in the same skills to make them good, there's very little horizontal growth unless your class gives you stuff. So you end up with this character that's just plowing forward. Fighters are getting +1 to their attack bonus. Every single level, they're getting huge numbers of hit points plus the constitution bonus. And it's just going up and up and up and up and up. So by the time you're 12th level, then A, the numbers are huge. They're getting out of hand at that point. And B, you're getting a disparity between, and I think one of the later topics we're going to talk a bit more about this, but you're getting a disparity between the top advances in their field and the lower ones. And this can create so many issues when you're running the game and you're trying to create an engaging game that keeps everybody around the table entertained, where one player will just be steamrolling ahead and the others just feel useless. And I didn't like it. Didn't like that kind of massive vertical growth.
Yeah, to be fair, I think I did ask one of my follow-up questions that was more appropriate for the second conversation, but my bad.
Go ahead. I've got a question for Archmaster, actually. I got a question for you. And that question is, so you said you started, what, about 4.5, 5 years ago?
It's either 3.5 or 4.5, but I'm pretty sure it's 4.5.
All right,
don't ask me about dates. I don't know.
Well, if I can remember, it was 1994. I was working that out before. I was like, when did I start? But my question to you would be, in the time that you've played so far, what's the longest running campaign you've played and what's the highest level you've got to? Because that would be really interesting to understand, because we've run campaign after campaign. We're nutters, but it'd be really interesting from your perspective. How high have you got? How did you find it?
So I've been a GM for most of that. I got that one campaign. It was more like an adventure. I got that one adventure at the beginning, and I've run 3-4 campaigns, I guess, with a few adventures and whatnot. But I've just been running this whole time. I haven't actually gotten to play, which is kind of sad because I want to play. But yeah, that's my perspective on it. But y'all have been going off on so many cool tangents. I wrote down 3 of them. I gotta give my 2 cents on these.
Go on.
Dean, what you were saying about hey, when you progress so high, you have to start having these fantastical threats, and then you wonder why they aren't there. You're totally correct. That messes with the lore of the world, the consistency and believability of the world. I think one somewhat decent way to get around that is by saying, well, the threats are in a different place. They're interdimensional, interplanar, so you have to actually go to this other plane to meet them there. But I think what's even better, and I hardly see anyone do this, and I want to do it in my own system, my own setting and whatnot, is to show those threats from the beginning and be like, you're level 1. Here's this dragon terrorizing the countryside. And when you're level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, he's terrorizing, he burns down this town. You hear about this cool town, you go to it, you make friends, you sell your loot, that's great. You leave, when you come back to the town, it's destroyed now. And you're like, my goodness, this stinking dragon keeps killing everything I care about. And then when you're finally level 10, you're like, now we're going to kill him. I think that level of foreshadowing and real progression is like, you hardly ever hear anyone actually tell a story about a time when that actually happened. It's just like, oh yeah, the dragon suddenly woke up or he suddenly arrived. It's like, if you can actually have the world consistent and run all that stuff in the background, like a clockwork world where everything's actually happening in the background, it doesn't just surround the characters and what they're doing. You actually have a full world running in the background, at least to a reasonable distance out, the region. If you do that, I think it'll give such a sense of progression and just realism. I think that would actually elevate the play experience for everyone. And that's just something I wanted to say, because I've hardly ever seen it done, and I'm doing it in my system. That's one of my goals. The second thing is what Max started this whole little segment thing talking about was levels versus a gradual progression. The gradual makes more sense, and it's tempting because you ask your child, do you want $1,000 or do you want a cookie? They're gonna say, I want the cookie, right? It's tempting to be like, ooh, I want something after every session. I want a little crumb. I want a little cookie. I want a little, oh, you got a new ability, right? But that is appropriate for some settings and campaigns and all sorts of things. But I think in general, if you just had to pick one, it's probably better to go with levels, because first of all, you get to actually get comfortable with your skill set, your abilities. You're level 5. This is what you can do. And you get to actually practice with that before you're level 6. Now you get a new spell, new ability, right? If you get a little bit of something each time, you're constantly updating your character sheet, constantly updating numbers and whatnot. And it may feel kind of good when you get it, but I think it just blurs the identity of the character. Like, I am this powerful with this power level. It just kind of muddies it. And it also has the effect of taking away the cool feeling you get of leveling up. Like, yeah, we leveled up. I'm more powerful now. So it can be appropriate sometimes. I think something like gold, getting treasure. You got 20 gold, 20 more gold, 5 more gold, 10 more gold. I think that feels good, but that's not a part of the character. That's not your identity. And it's also not something that you have to keep updating your stats and your strategy for. It's just in the background. So there's a time and a place for progression to be gradual. I think in general, when it comes to character abilities, probably best to go, mostly level based. Have it be like a milestone you reached and now you have new abilities. And lastly, if y'all can stand me droning on a little bit longer, I think the main problem with the vertical progression as opposed to horizontal, especially when you're just doing vertical, is that it gets boring. Because what vertical progression gives you is now you can kill the enemy you couldn't kill before. And that's interesting about twice. And then if it's level 3, level 4, level 5, now you can kill a new enemy, it starts to get boring. Yeah, okay. It pretty much, it feels like you just got that one reward. And because the same reward you get every time is the same reward, it doesn't really feel like a new reward. So horizontal progression for the win. That's why my system focuses on all the breadth of customizability. Each layer of progression only goes up, a little bit. It only has so many options, but you have 9 different layers of progression plus equipment, and I think that's where the future of tabletop gaming is give me more options where I get to choose how I progress rather than lock me in here and I just go up and reach the stars. And we know all the problems that cause. Y'all covered that with power creep and just the difficulty of running it and the difficulty of challenging characters. I think horizontal progression is the way of the future for those that are actually cognizant enough to grasp it. All right, I'm done.
No, I love that, and I think it's very interesting that you say you've mainly GM'd. So we're gonna have to drag Archmaster into a game, Dean.
We are. We are.
We are going to have to get you to play. We've got to get Max to play as well. We're going to get people to play. And
We
you
we
can
need
come
to
play
schedule our
with us
one-shots and
members.
send out
Yeah.
the invites. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to send out those invites.
Hmm.
Yes.
I was gonna say when you first started talking about how long you've been playing, Vicky, I was like, man, I've got to get in a game with these two. Either my mind immediately went to I have to run a game for them, but if you want to run it for me, that'd be great. Either way, I'd be happy. I'd love to play with you two.
Yeah. Your
It's
foreshadowing.
good
Sorry, your foreshadowing. I use that quite a lot.
Yeah.
And you got to take into account though, if a dragon's just come and destroyed a village and you're low level, likelihood is a high level group who've got some ties to the village, or the lord of the land calls in help. There will be a high level group in the area before you know it, because they will be recruited to deal with this threat. It's not always up to you. And that then adds another depth because they can't find the dragon. Dragon's gone to ground. Then later on, dragon strikes again and then goes to ground. Meanwhile, you're picking up these breadcrumbs of where this dragon's potentially going to ground. This high-level group comes in, they poo-poo you, you're beneath them. You know, you haven't even got magical armor. Who are you to come and tell us, you know, how to do our jobs? And you build this fantastic world where eventually, and this is where the payoff of progression comes in. Eventually, you track the dragon down to where it's hiding. You get the power to be able to deal with it. You track down some through rumors. You track down some items to help you negate its breath weapon or resist it and deal damage to it. And then you launch an attack, returning to the Lord with the dragon's head and the high-level party being sent away in disgrace. And that, the feeling you get there as a player, fantastic. So yes, strive for stuff like that because it makes the world feel alive and brilliant. It makes your players feel like they've done something great, and it's another form of advancement, and it's probably what I consider to be the best advancement you've got. It's not just about the stats on your character sheet, it's about your character growing, developing, and becoming powerful within the world, or gaining a better place, a more permanent place within the world.
So, Archmaster, I have something to let you know. Not only does Dean do this with his bad guys, so where we as the players we get to hear about the foreshadowing, he also does it the other way round. And the example I will use is we heard rumors about this kobold. He was gaining followers and stuff like this, and we poo-pooed it. We totally poo-pooed it. We were members of the Harpers. I had a tower. Everything was fine. And we didn't pay attention. We didn't even send a lower level adventuring party to go check it out.
You did talk about hiring one and then went no. I mean, what level were you at that point? What, 18th? 19th level?
I think it was something stupidly
Second edition.
high. Second edition. And so this little kobold, and we heard all of this stuff about him, and we're like, oh, they're gathering the kobolds together. Oh, that's sweet, isn't it? We were close to Silvery Moon. We didn't think anything of it. Anyway, as later on, when the kobold avatar had me for dinner, I decided that was actually a mistake. So you can also, the foreshadowing stuff, we actually heard about it and ignored it.
It was such a low-level threat, not worth their time.
And it really did bite us. So you can use it. And of course, the kobold had heard about us. So it was very much, it targeted us. So in the same way as the low-level adventurers might go after the dragon, your low-level kobolds might gain power and go after the adventurers, and that makes your world feel very alive. Well, until the point that you're eaten by a kobold avatar, at least. You know.
At 18th level. Yeah.
Yes.
Use me as a toothpick. I was not happy. I almost gave up role playing, Archmaster.
Yeah.
I did. That close. I loved that character.
That sounds like a very memorable experience.
It was.
That's great. Yeah. See, I think there's a lot of potential missing in the modern space. You go online, you hear dungeon tubers talk, and it's all about essentially the railroad. Like, here's the adventure module, here are the things they're supposed to do, and there's not enough talk about the level of freedom to allow the players to go where they want and do what they want. You don't have a pre-listed, pre-made story for them to experience, but also the arbiter, the DM, spending their time simulating the world instead of plotting events and saying, I'm actually just going to make the world real. I'm like, to me, it's kind of bewildering how I can explain this to some people and they don't understand, like they can't put themselves in that scenario and be like, wow, that's great. Like the idea that you can play in a game where the arbiter doesn't hold your hand, they don't have a story for you to go on, they just run the world as accurately as possible. There's the dragon there, the king there, they, you know, the GM's prep consists of, here's the king, what does he want? Well, he wants more money, he wants to, you know, invade his kingdom, so he's gonna raise taxes and, you know, institute a draft and whatnot, and then this other king is going to react to him, and the dragon hears about it, and blah blah blah. Their prep is just running the world. It's just making things happen, and then the characters are there, and they just hear about it. Yeah, the rumors. There's a, you know, draft. There's new taxes, etc. It happens all around them. The world feels real, and it's not for them. It's not, you know, circled on them. Like the god in the sky doesn't have a microscope on the character's actions. It's like, no, the world is real, and it's much bigger than you, and you get to make your own way in the world. No one's going to pre-pave the path for you. That to me is thrilling. That to me is the whole point of playing the game, is the world doesn't care about me. No one's going to tell me what to do. I get to make my own way. That was my first experience with my first DM. The reason I think I owe a lot to him. One of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this, I think, is because of my first experience. He just plopped me onto the surface and said, do what you want. There was no plan, no plot, no pre-made adventures, zilch. I got to make my own way in the world, and I knew it. I could feel it every step of the way. I did what I wanted, and it was just thrilling. It was intoxicating. It was wonderful. Best experience ever. I played every day, and I go to see other people's games and other people, like the advice they give, and it's just, railroads, here's how to lead them like you're their daddy. Here's how to be the daddy to a bunch of children. It's like, no, I don't want the DM to treat me like a child. I want to be the daddy. I want to be in charge. I want to make my own way. You're just the referee in the background. You run the world. Don't tell me what to do. Don't pre-plan my steps. I don't want to hold daddy's hand while he leads me. Like it feels infantilizing. And I don't get why some people promote it and they're like, I'm totally okay with this. I'm like, how? Anyway, that's my rant.
Well, it's all about, isn't it? It's all about seeing what's going on and deciding what you're going to react to. All the GM can do is to put those little bits there that you can pick up as players and your character can interact with and decide the route they're going to go. But you might feel that it's completely unplanned, but there has to be some sort of planning in the background. All of this stuff where you talk about the real world and you just interact with it, the way I've seen Dean do it is he has all these different plot lines going on that interact, and he's got all of these different things going on, and we can choose to actually interact with them, or we can choose not to interact with them. It's up to us. But don't ever think it means that there isn't plot lines and stories there for you to interact with, because, you know, even if you guys in the real world go to work, right, those things are laid out for you. You know, you choose whether, you know, what job you take, you choose what you do, and it's exactly the same in a role-playing scenario. You choose to interact with the world the way that you interact with it, and as you progress up the levels, the opportunity to interact at a sort of different level appears. So this is where, as you know, you're not going to get the opportunity as a low level character to interact with the king, as you said, because the king is not going to bother with you. You are a peasant. But this opportunity will become more promising, or you might be able to get the opportunity for that at a higher level. I mean, we used to interact with the Lady of Silvery Moon, our last 5th edition campaign. I mean, we were interacting with the Masked Lords of Waterdeep. It was fantastic. We got to do so many things, but only when we got to a level where we were recognized. And that's the thing. You've got your verticals, you've got your horizontals, as I do it backwards, because, you know, I'll get my left and right mixed up as well. You've got your horizontals, you've got your verticals, but you've also got the level of influence that those characters have got in the world. You can influence far more when you're higher level, because with that comes a bit more respect from the NPCs, because you've now got a reputation.
Yes, as long as your deeds that got you to that level are positive. And in the campaign you're talking about, the Lords of Waterdeep, you were actually working with one of the lords, arrived in Ben Tharambar, this is their base of operations, with a request. And the party leapt at it. It was the right thing to do. They did really well. And over a period of time and more relationships, talking to him and sharing a lot more with him, one of the party actually starting to become one of his agents. They grew and then became part of the politics of Waterdeep at the time. But the party, we were talking about railroading slightly here, Archmaster, and the party, even though I'd prepped this, what I do is I prepare what's happening in the world, sort of high level, where the party, what's happening that they can affect, that affects them, and that's what I prep. And they could have turned around to this guy who called on them at the start, and they could have said, no, we're not going to do it. And I wouldn't throw my toys out the cart. I wouldn't say, well, you got to do it. I would just take the adventure in a different direction. But there's always prep. And the only time I've seen zero prep pretty much is where you have the random world being built and it's all dice creating the various things. And then the DM says, oh, we've randomized this. Yeah, I think this is what's happened. And that can work really well. If you've got the right players together who love that, who love to create the world together, that can work incredibly. And I guess in that game, progression is actually this world unfolding before you and being fleshed out as you roll the dice, as you randomize the hexes, as you explore, or you become, you play the gods of the world in addition to your characters. And as gods, you're creating the world in conjunction with the DM and then playing within that world. And that's a form of progression in itself.
Well, hey, this segment's gone on quite a bit here. I do have two quick follow-ups that I do want to pop out there, but if we can get quick answers to this, and then we'll move on to the second segment. To be fair, we have talked a bit of second segment already, but we'll bring that back up so we can get into some of these deeper conversations with this. So Dean, starting with you, because it's segment one, in your opinion, how much should advancements change what a character can do versus how a character feels within the world or the setting of the campaign? And I know that they can actually be combined together, but basically, how much of it should be mechanical growth, give me my +1, my +2, and how much of it should be, well, like what you guys were talking about, my influential growth on the setting?
Okay. I think there should always be some mechanical growth because players will look at the numbers and they want the numbers to change in a meaningful way. So the easiest progression you can have is XP is given, you advance the level, you gain hit points, you gain a few other things. It's clear, the player can see it. But that should, in my opinion, always be backed up with that kind of world growth as well, which is the development of the character. And if you're doing something which is just dungeon bash, you go into dungeons, you loot, you come back out, you sell, and you keep doing that on repeat, you probably have less of the world stuff and a lot more of the number stuff. But if you're playing in a living world, a simulated world, and you're gaining contacts and growing that way, I think you'll have a nice bit of both. So my view on this is definitely having some numbers. Players like to see their piece of paper that represents a character growing and getting better. But you can never... I will always do the other side of that as well, which is the personal growth, the growing contacts, the becoming more powerful within the world, more renown, gaining more renown within the world.
Okay. Arch, same question for you. How much should advancement change what a character can do versus what a character, say, can feel within the campaign?
I think these, according to my philosophy, these fall neatly into the first three pillars of freedom, power, and status. And I consider them about equal. Every person will prefer one or the other. Like, I think Vicky likes status more. That's the whole domain play thing. There are a lot of min-maxers that like the power, but freedom is, new abilities. Now I can teleport. Now I can wall climb, right? Power is better abilities, higher numbers. And status is what you said, the influence in the world. I have a better place in the world, right? So I would say they're all just about equal. But equality will vary greatly per person. So as an arbiter, I can just present them equally, and then each individual player will latch onto one or two more than the others and say, I really care more about the status, and they'll lean into that one. Someone else will lean into the other. But in general, aggregate across the population, they're probably about equal.
Okay. And Vicky?
I always like to level, and I always like to get stuff. I always like treasure.
Oh, you're greedy.
I am, totally.
She does.
There is no treasure, there is trouble. I like treasure, I like to level, I like to have decent things to use in combat, so I like to have skills. I love progression on all forms. and I love to be able to influence the world I'm with. In fact, what Daryl has said about wants a meaningful sense to the order of the world, I always want that in the world, and I always want my leveling, etc., to feel as if that's part and parcel of my progression within the world. I don't want to feel it clunky. It has to flow, so it has to feel natural, and I love that. I love leveling. I absolutely love leveling.
So now I'm going to take this in a little bit different direction, but again, if we can get quick answers for this, starting with Dean again. Should advancement reward player goals, campaign milestones, risk taking, or just strict experience point accounting? You know, D&D style. You did this, and this is what you get experience points for. Have a nice day. How should, in your opinion, that doesn't necessarily mean that every game has to do this, but in your opinion, how should advancement reward the character?
I would, in my opinion, I think there are a number of things that should be rewarded. Number one, defeating challenges, but that shouldn't be the main source of your XP. It should actually be quite a minor source. So this is defeating creatures, overcoming combat challenges. Number two, progressing, dare I say the story, but progressing your objectives, I think, is the better way. The party decide they're going out to do X, Y, Z. When they achieve X, Y, Z, they get experience because they've learned something through it. And that should probably be one of the main sources of your XP. And the final one is what I call the tick XP, because it's just quick and easy. Every time someone does something incredible, every time there's a good bit of role playing around the table, quick tick, quick tick, quick tick. And those ticks convert into XP at the end of the session. And that forms another chunk that it rewards the players for being good, for playing well, for role-playing their characters, for quick thinking in combat, and it's a nice fluid amount of XP that the players always know that this XP is given. So if they perform really well around the table, if they do well around the table, they get a good bonus bit of XP. And I think those three help drive the story forward when it comes to helping them focus on their objectives, helps keep the party cohesive going because they're trying to work together and be really good at what they do and support each other to get the tick XP and roleplay. And then they also mindful of, I mean, as Vicky said, she likes combats, I love combats, and it's that reward for actually taking part in the combat and defeating the creatures, albeit even if no sword is drawn and you defeat the creatures or bypass them, that reward is still given. You have still defeated them.
All right, Arch, same question. You want me to repeat it, or you got it?
Yeah, I got it. Okay. I think each of them have their place. I think, as Dean said, there should be multiple sources of rewarding because you have multiple objectives, multiple, things to motivate the player. I think all motivation for the characters should also be player motivation. I believe in diegesis. I believe in combining player experience with character experience, player motivation with character motivation, incentives, etc. So I don't like the idea of, campaign goals. And well, if you're doing what the GM says, now you're going to get the XP, because then it's kind of just a game of, instead of what cool adventurous thing can I do, how do I pursue my own goals? It's what does the GM want me to do, right? I don't like that. It feels too close to Mother May I. So I prefer you have your own. First of all, I think all XP, all progression, whatnot needs to be in the open. I absolutely detest what is called milestone leveling, but which is in reality GM fiat leveling. You level whenever they say. I absolutely detest that. There's no motivation there. All goals should be out in the open. You know when you leveled up. You get to tell the GM when you leveled up because you accomplished the goals in front of you and you know that you did it, right? I want to have the control. I want to be in control of myself. But I think whether it's your character accomplishing some kind of backstory thing, or you completing a quest that someone gave you, or you killing monsters, I think all of those should have their own rewards, whether it's treasure or experience or leveling up or, a new title or status. Now you get a tower. I think they should all give their own unique forms of reward so that the players can choose to pursue that reward specifically by taking the actions required to get it. I think the more transparent you make the system, the better, because it helps players make informed decisions and actually pursue what they want.
Okay. And Vicky?
Well, funny enough, what Dean said, because that's pretty much how we've designed XP for Until Destiny. But yeah, it is all about, I want to be rewarded for good role play. I also like to see and this is interesting because this actually links in with something that Archmaster said about the fact he wants to progress his character and stuff like that. I want to make sure that the party progresses. And one of the things I like is being rewarded for having achieved things as a group, because that drives more cohesion at the table. And I think that's really important when it comes to XP, because there is nothing worse than just one person going off doing their own thing, completely derailing everything for everyone else at the table. And I do think that actually moving forward together, working together to come up with clever plans and stuff like that to defeat a quest and to you know, during that, actually forward the campaign, because at the end of the day, the campaign is normally a series of quests. You know, when you're doing that and you're doing it as a group, that is just a sweet spot. And to then get rewarded for that, it's brilliant. I love it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's that segment went a bit long, but that's fine. That happens here almost every week. So, you know, maybe I shouldn't have time limits on these things, but I do. But we're going to move into the second segment here where we will continue this discussion in just a moment. But don't forget to like this video and subscribe to all the panelist channels, which you can find in the description. Don't forget, you can check out Untold Destiny in the description there as well. And what did you say? You can create a character and actually start playing?
Yep. It's all the stuff for first level.
There you go.
So gear, spells,
47 spells now, because Dean missed 2 and we've put them back in. We missed 2 out. So yeah, 47 spells. You've got tons of gear, 6 character classes. You've got the first level for all of them. But we have, for the Master of Arms, given all of the levels, so you can have a look. So you've got from 1st to 20th of the Master of Arms to have a little peek. We've got a load of monsters. I think it's about 14 monsters, creatures that you've popped in. So lots of stuff to get your teeth into. Take a look, and we have then an adventure coming out 28th of July.
Awesome. Check that out. And also, you know, of course, subscribe to their channel as well. And I got bullied into this next one. Reading wikis for you. That's right. At Reading Wikis on YouTube. Listen to it in the background. Learn something while you work, poop, or fall asleep. Want to check that? It's our friend Brian, gaming with ADHD. He reads wikis, and it sounds silly, but it's gaining a little bit of traction over there. Some people are like, actually, this isn't a bad idea because I can learn something while and of course, I made up the whole thing of, you know, work, poop, or fall asleep. But hey, you know what? When do we do our best business? On the bathroom, on the toilet. No, right. Maybe. Anyway, your likes, your comments.
Boys.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I think these boys who do that.
Well, he's not paying me to advertise for him. I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart. So you know what? He's going to take what I get. And you know what? Girls can do it too.
So what was the name of it again? Reading
wikis for you. It's at Reading Wikis on YouTube. So, awesome. Your likes, your comments, your shares really do help us keep this type of conversation going. They also help us reach more RPG fans. We haven't even hit 30 people watching tonight. This is a low night, and people forgot about the channel. But you can help out with that by, hey, check out Game Master Insight and Legion of Myth. We may be looking for a panelist like you. Sign up on the Game Master Insight Discord. The link is in the description. Read the rules and find a panel topic that interests you. I hope to have the September schedule out soon, but we'll see. A lot of things going on right now. Coming up next, our panelists will discuss vertical power creep versus horizontal utility. We've already started some of that, but we'll readdress it in a little bit more formal concept. That was my bad because I asked a follow-up question that poked into it. But you know, however, before we start that, let's take a look at your super chats and some member comments. I actually only have the one. There's a super chat in some British money there. You're gonna take your stupid pounds. We fought a war. Take your tea back, buddy.
Thank you, Jack. I much appreciate that.
Osler Scholar says, slips money into Dean's garter. You know what? That would get us some more money. So, hold on a second. Weird. Okay. Sorry, I got a note from my wife, so I had to... And everything else is just you guys commenting generically on what was going on. Some people, you know, making fun of my size and, you know, whatever else, you know. I'm not fragile. I promise. So. All right. Let's do this official like now. Look at that. Got little screenshots and stuff for folks now. Got the sheriff. All right. Well, this one is... What's that?
Morgan Freeman.
There you go. It'd be a very young one. Actually, kind of looks like that guy from In Living Color. Can't think of his name right now. Anyway, we are going to start with Archmaster for the second segment, which explores a vertical power creep versus horizontal utility. So once advancement begins, whatever word I wanted to use there, a system has to decide whether characters mostly scale upward or outward. You can try to have balance, but you're going to find that every game does one a little more than the other. This segment looks at how power, horizontal utility, and how each approach affects adventure encounters, challenge balance, if that's a thing you care about, and player decision making. And we're starting with Arch on this one. What are your thoughts?
I'm so glad you started with me. I have opinions. Okay.
What?
Yeah. Lo and behold, big supply. Two things. And I want you to bookmark them for me because I didn't get enough sleep and I can barely remember them. So one is everything everywhere all at once. And number two is you just mentioned it. I already forgot it. Anyway, yes, the whole. I think the way it ought to be done, which is evident because this is the way I do in my own system, is you should have the option for all of it, for everything. I don't think you have to choose one or the other if you just make it optional in the world, right? My philosophy, everything is diegetic. Every kind of progression on your character is also progression that happened in the world. Everything has an anchor in the world, right? Nothing just comes out of thin air. Oh, you gained a level, whatever that is. Like, no, everything's in the world. So I think the priority is the breadth, the width of progression, new abilities, new options. That's why my game has 9 layers of customization, whereas most games have 3. Most games have race, class, and background. Mine has 9 different ones because I want you to have the breadth of options and progression where I don't want you to have to multi-class and lose 3 levels of fighter to gain 3 levels of mage. I want you to be able to, have all your different things, all your different avenues of progression progress simultaneously. Quick example is something like, your class, your fighting abilities versus you giving your soul to a warlock for power. In D&D, it's kind of one or the other. Like you have 3 levels of that or you have 3 levels of that, right? You can't have them both at the same time. In my system, I'm like, your soul is separate from your class levels, right? You can sell your soul and get 5 levels of warlock in your soul class versus your battle class, right? They're totally separate. They progress separately, right? So I think that is something that's hardly ever tapped into. There's not enough actual true horizontal progression. I think we haven't really seen the depths of what it could be. But additionally, I think vertical progression, though hardly ever done well, absolutely has its place. And that's where I think I think part of the problem of why it doesn't work so well in so many games, like we'll just take D&D, is because in D&D you have your one layer of progression called your class, right? You have 20 levels. That's a very large amount of space to fill, right? So the first 5 levels are your low fantasy, and then your next 5 levels are mid power, and then higher levels after that. You essentially change genres where you're in grim dark fantasy, noble fantasy, noble right, grand fantasy, epic fantasy. You change too much. You change whole genres within the same layer of progression within your class. I think the proper way to do it, the way I do it in my system, is here's your very low power progression. Right, in my system, it's training and whatnot. You can spend gold, train during your downtime, gain proficiencies. That's the low fantasy version. The mid fantasy version is your mantle, like what in D&D you would call your class. Now you get super abilities. You can be a fighter and attack 4 times, like super cool stuff. But then for the high fantasy stuff, I don't think it should just be a continuation of your level of your class, and where you're just higher and higher levels. I think that's what breaks it. For the high fantasy stuff, you want a whole different layer of progression, right? In my system, we call it the Paragon, where now you have these super crazy fantasy abilities, and these are optional. You can keep on progressing your mantle, and you're never going to reach epic fantasy levels by progressing your mantle. Your class is only going to ever give you mid power fantasy things. Regular, training, downtime progression, that's only ever going to give you low power, low fantasy things. Your Paragon path, your stuff you get from the gods and whatnot, that will only ever give you really high power stuff. 3 totally separate paths of progression, and they're optional. I think that's the way to do it. And I think failing to separate them out and saying it's actually just one continuum of your class, I think that actually causes so much of the power creep and the bloat and it's so difficult to play high levels. I think it causes the problems because it all stacks on top of each other instead of being optional and running side by side. I don't know if that made any sense.
Well, we'll find out. What did Dean and Vicky think?
Yeah. Well, I just want to ask you something, Archmaster. So when you have a look at what you were talking about there, is there the risk that then you get that sort of journey through all of those different options that gives you the optimum character? Because after being at the table over the years and shared the table with power gamers, every time they will work out, how do I get my character to be the best it can be? And they will trace that, and I'm not joking, they will dedicate time and effort to work out exactly what the best progression is to be the best character at the table. And it won't necessarily be, whether it fits the character story, it won't be whether or not it fits the campaign. It'll be, I want to be the best. Now, one of the things that I see as a risk when you're talking about just purely horizontal and almost like a mix and match is that there will be those sweet spots you can hit that will mean that your characters become overblown. If they take this, and this, they're going to knock every other character is never going to be as good as them. So that is one of the risks I see with too much in the way of horizontal without actually, and that's why I actually like class systems. I'll be honest, I like classes. I hate multi-classing. I detest it. I'm
with you on that one. I'm absolutely with you on that one.
I do not. I don't think I've ever actually multi-classed because I tend to design a character that I want to play, and it is normally within a sort of character class, and I will basically ensure that I take what I need horizontally to be able to do what it is I want to do without having to constantly nick everything from other classes. It just doesn't feel right.
I agree.
It doesn't. If you want to play something that's good at lots of different things, you play your bard classes, you play classes that give you those sort of options, right? So I will not multi-class. And I think when you look at that, it also impacts the way that the adventure's put together. Because if you've got someone who constantly wants to get the best of everything, and that's what you see with multi-classing, the power gamers will always multi-class at low levels in D&D. Because that's how they get the most power. And that's one of the risks with doing a sort of mix and match. So I think that you need a combination of up and out. I think it needs to be, you cannot balance characters to be exactly the same. You can't balance classes to be exactly the same. But what you can do is make the flavors unique and different so that they actually attract players for different reasons. And it doesn't need to be so balanced that the fighter is exactly the same as a mage at so level. They need to have different flavors, different things they can do, but not one completely overshadow the other, because your power gamers will always go down that route. So when I look at advancement, I think it needs to have a reasonable horizontal. I like horizontal. I like being able to add things. And I also like to have some vertical. I like the feeling of my character learning new stuff and also becoming a little bit more robust. So I like that joint stuff together. Indeed. I don't know if that made any sense, but that's what I think.
I agree. I also don't like multi-classing at all. The thing I described, I know we have a very short amount of time for me to kind of just blurb it out there. But those three main levels of power, like power level, like genre, essentially, two things. One, the whole party would get that, where it's like, hey, party, you all get to have a class instead of just staying level 0 and gaining individual proficiencies as you age and as you train. Now everyone gets a class with level abilities, right? That's something everyone would get. And same thing with the whole Paragon thing, where you get super abilities. That would be like, hey, all of you get to be Paragons, right? So it wouldn't be where one player gets to multi-class and like get all the Paragon stuff where no one else does, right? But number two, I totally agree with what you're saying about the whole, the min-maxing the the power gaming and whatnot. I don't have a problem with min-maxing the way I define min-maxing. Power gaming does often cause problems though. But the way we fix that in our system is we make everything diegetic. Everything is anchored in the world. The problem with D&D is a player can just level up and they say, oh, cool, I picked this class and I picked this spell. And there's nothing that the DM can do about it. Like the rules say, they level up, they get to pick whatever the class they want, they get to pick their spell. Sure, the DM can outlaw multi-classing and whatnot, but like by rules, it's already there. So the DM has to be the bad guy and they have to start taking away options, which no one wants to do, right? In my system, it's the opposite. If you want, a class, a mantle, a paragon ability, a trainer to train you with abilities, you have to find it in the world. Everything exists in the world first. There is no automatic level up, no automatic, oh, cool, DM, I picked this ability. It just doesn't exist. So we completely disintegrate the concept of, we pull out the rug from underneath the power gamers because they can't just pick things anymore. It's, hey, Arbiter, is there a trainer in this world that can give me this certain feat? It's like, no, I can tell you're power gaming. No, that trainer isn't in the world. Darn. There's nothing they can do. They can't just pick it from the book. The game doesn't give them the ability to just pick what they want.
I foresee a lot of people quitting that campaign. I'm not trying to be a dick about that. I'm just saying the people that I've dealt with in my life, playing all over the world, and that would never bother me. That would never bother me. And I'm going to tell a story based on something Vicky said in the members only section about pre-programming characters. In the members only, I'll talk about that. But so I just want to be clear, that wouldn't bother me. But I know a lot of players should be like, no, if I can't make the character I want and this game has it in here and you're just the game master just on a whim is saying, nope, can't do it because it doesn't exist, I'm out. I'm going to go play a different game where I can do the things that I want to do. There are a lot of players like that.
Well, I think that they could do that, sure. But D&D already does it in the terms of magic items, where you can't just say, oh, GM, I'm level 5, I want a flame tongue. He's like, no, you have to go find that in the world. And there might not be one, right? I don't see players quitting the game because they don't get the flame tongue they want. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking your class levels and I'm treating them like magic items in the world, where you have to go find the trainer, find the arch, find the power orb, find the item, etc. You have to actually find it. And if it's not in the world, it's not in the world. I don't see players quitting over not finding their flame tongue. I don't.
Yeah, but just again, I'm not going to try to belabor this point because we'll wait for somebody in the comment section later on to just say agree or disagree. But I can just say that characters don't, at least in my experience, don't look at magic items the same way they do as say non-weapon proficiencies or skills or feats or whatever. Items come and go. Powers that are in the book are for me. That again, it's a selfish mentality, but I see it a lot. So.
Maybe like I can't fix bad players, but yeah, that's I think it's worth it because it's gonna remove the headache on the DM because now they don't have to go online. Hey, how do I stop my power gaming player? It's like it's gonna be as easy as pie. You're gonna be the one who's going to let them power game if you want.
No.
Oh, okay.
One of the problems you're gonna get, and you get this with any time you put in something that has to be found, and it happens with magic items. You have a player who goes, I want to get this one magic item. I'm going to look for rumors. I'm going to look for this. I'm going to look for that. And they badger. Now imagine you got all your players badgering. I want to get this class. I want to go this way. I want to do this thing. And they can't do those things unless they find them in the world. And now you got this list of things coming from your players going, these are the characters we want. How can we do it? We want to find these things in your world to enable us to create these characters. I've got a vision of what I want to play and what I want to become. And if I can't find it in the world, how can I become that? And that's a form of advancement for the player. The player has a sense of the steps they're going to take to advance their character, to fulfill the vision that they've got of their character. And it might even be, something as simple as, I want to become a Sparhawk. And I'm only this low level thing. And looking at your rules, I need to get this, then do this, then do that, then do that. And then, wow, that's going to be my character. And now they're in the world at the whim of whoever's running that world. And they'll be constantly going, look, I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for the other. And that's all you're going to get. Because do you know what? Unlike a class and magic items where the class is stable and they can develop the growth of the class and their items, everything is unstable. Everything is at the whim of whoever's running the game, and everything has to be found before you can start advancing your character and fulfilling your vision of that character. Now, that's not to say there's some players who will absolutely love that, but I think I'm with Max on this, which is majority of players, they've got a limited amount of time. They're giving up 4 hours, possibly more, to sit around a table and be with friends. The last thing they want to do is be frustrated that every single session they're not advancing because they're not finding the things that help them move their character towards their vision of what they feel that character should be. And players will quit the table because they'll find it quite fruitless and unfulfilling. This is why advancements, it's the reward system that helps keep players at the table. You know, if you've got a computer game and nothing happens in the computer, imagine Skyrim where your skills just don't go up. You know, you get bored of the game. If nothing happens, you'll get bored. Or if you've got to try and jump through hoops, you're going to get bored. Even Minecraft has its development and advancement system, as simple as it is, which is you want to get the better axes, you want to get the better armors, you want to discover the new areas, you want to... Sorry, is there stuff going on in the...
Oh yeah, I was just reading the chat. Sorry, it was brilliant.
Okay.
So Dean, I totally get what you're saying, Dean. Absolutely. I think my progression system is a lot closer to Skyrim and Minecraft than apparently I'm communicating. I don't know what about what I said gave the impression that it was going to be a frustration fest. I
can answer that, and because you're suffering from something that I do as well, is we say something, we know what we mean. Like when I tell people I keep them poor constantly, you know how many people are like, "I'd never play in your game." Like, no, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, they imagine what you mean.
Yeah, they've never played in my game. They don't understand that. For me, what I do is I force you to make choices. What's more important, getting that spell or getting that plate mail armor? Then you make that choice. I'm not going to hold things back from you. What I'm in terms of like, you want to get these things, I want you to earn them. And to me, I think that's what you're saying as well. You want that, but the way it came across is, well, if the DM doesn't want, or the arbiter in your game doesn't want to put it out there, well, then it's not there. Good luck, buddy.
I mentioned that specifically in the context of if you have a power gamer that wants this ability, that one, because they're trying to break your game, you can be like, that's not there. But
I get it.
We are going to instruct the arbiter to be like, hey, when you have non-problem players and they tell you this is what my character wants to be, put that stuff in the world. Like, I'm not saying that the regular modus operandi of the arbiter is going to be to frustrate everyone and to make everything difficult. It's going to be like Minecraft, where I want diamonds, so I have to go chop down some tree for wood and then chop down some stone so I can make a stone pickaxe. Then I'm going to get some iron. Then I'm going to mine the diamonds. Then I'm going to smelt it, get a diamond pickaxe to get obsidian to build my house. Like it's
actually, I like what you're putting out there because I want people to earn it. The thing is again, and I say this because I'm coming from a place of experience on this because I do the same thing, is unfortunately people aren't in our head and they don't see that there's greater on this. And to be fair, we don't have 10 hours to describe everything, right? Yeah. So that's the cautionary tale that I think Dean and myself we're kind of putting out there, is like, be careful with that, because if you're as stuck in that box as you kind of made it sound there, people are instantly be like, well, I'm not doing this crap. Or the first time they get stuck, they're going to be like, oh, I told you that this game wouldn't let me do what I wanted, so I quit. So I hate the game master. I hate this game. Or I hate whatever. And players do that. Heathen Dog does this on our channel a lot. He'll say things like, you can do that, but then your players will forever hate you. And it's just some random thing. Don't worry about specifically what it is. But he says it a lot because we've been in that situation where players are like, this is BS. I'm out. Yeah. I'm out,
the other thing you're risking, really big time risking, is if somebody around your table and they get what they were after, but then the other person doesn't, it causes a fracture in the group. And then if somebody wants something and the indication is it's over in that direction, and someone wants something else that's over in that direction, that can also, and I know I talk about the cohesion of the groups at times, but it is important when you're in a role-playing game, because the progression through the adventure requires a level of cohesion of that party. So if the GM does something that fractures the cohesion of that group, it can derail the adventure, very much like I can derail streams.
My adventures don't have rails, but I hear what you're saying. I think that applies just as easily to this character has some backstory objective over here, and this other character has a backstory objective over there. Or this character wants the flame tongue, and this character wants to kill the dragon. I think conflicting goals where you have to take turns and everyone goes to this one, then everyone goes to that one, that's just a normal part of play. I don't think the progression system that I've mentioned here runs into any new problems. I think the same solutions we have for existing problems are also going to apply here.
Yeah, there's one trap you're going to have, And that is a new arbiter picks up your system, thinks, fantastic. So I can decide. And if someone tries to power game, hang on. Unless I understand what power gaming is, how do I know if a player is going down that route? I've got a player who says, yes, I'd like to now do this, and I'd like to do that. Group, can we go and do this? And you're thinking, yeah, this is fine. I mean, I understand the system, but these combinations, when you have a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that can be slotted together to create a character, that in itself creates more and more complexity and more potential for the unexpected to happen. For a character to suddenly unlock something that becomes too powerful and begins to ruin the game, especially if the other players now begin to feel like they're second fiddles. It's one of the reasons I do not like multi-classing, because there's too many combinations that create the overpowered nature of a character, and two, I love the idea of classes but with lots of options, so that the horizontal growth goes along with the vertical growth. The problem you will have is an arbiter would not understand the power game until it happens. Because unless you put in there, do not allow the following combinations, and then you're beginning to, so you need to identify what are the power games in here, what are the options when combined create an imbalance in the system. And
well,
then
we can lend you some power gamers.
Yeah.
I would love
me.
Power Gamer playtesters. Please send them my way. Break my game.
You'll be surprised. When I first started running 3rd edition, one of my power gamers went, I'm going this build. And I had a look at it, went, okay, it's a whip, it's this. Okay, I think that's fine. And then he suddenly flipped it, took a prestigious class, did this, and he was killing things at a distance, and no one in the party came close to his damage. And everybody around the table just went, yeah, no. And the campaign came to an end straight away. Because he, as a power gamer, found the loopholes, found the way of pulling this together, found the way of stacking those numbers, and kept it from me as a DM, because he knew if I understood the route he was taking, I would block him straight away and go, look, that is too overpowered. And the moment he did it, he didn't care that the campaign came to an end. He just got away with doing his power character. And that was it. So be careful when you've got a lot of moving parts. Yeah. Those parts, when combined, can create unexpected results. And you've just got to be careful, because it's not so easy for a new arbiter to find or know, and before you know it, an overbearing power character will have created their power build and be dominating at the table, and everybody else will be pissed off and leaving that table.
Yeah, I understand that that's always a threat, and it's a threat that already exists, and there's already a way to solve that. Already a couple ways. One, if you do have a power gamer that comes in, like in that scenario, and the other players don't want to play with him, the campaign doesn't end. You just remove that player and keep playing with everyone else. So I don't even really see that as like an end game. Oh no, everything died. It's like, it's really easy to keep playing. You just remove that guy. But
that's sometimes possible, sometimes not. What if that player is the one that's driving the other 3 or 4 to the table?
Sure, but this isn't.
I'm speaking from experience on that, by the way.
I understand. Yeah. But this isn't a problem that's unique to what I'm proposing here. This is something that already exists. Let's go back to what I'm actually proposing is a greater restriction on their multi-classing abilities and in their ability to combine different effects. I don't see how that would make it any worse than people's current freedom of multi-classing. I think the current freedom, like in D&D, where they can multi-class, is worse for party cohesion. It's worse for power gaming. It gives power gamers more leeway. My system, where everything has to pass by the GM by default, I don't see how that's anything but an improvement.
Yeah, but
so long as the GM knows what to block.
Oh, you're frozen, Dean. But not only that, you've also got the fact that GM is at some point, or your arbiter is going to get accused of favoritism. Mm-hmm. Oh, imagine if Dean was running your system and I found my bit, but Max didn't get. Well, I played the GM's wife card. That'll come out.
I'm blocking Max because I know Max is his power build, but I'm going to keep blocking him. But everybody else is getting their stuff. How is Max going to feel?
Okay, well, isn't that the exact same problem you have with multi-classing? Where
which is why I don't have multi-classing.
Which is why it's banned.
Okay.
When I ran 5e, I allowed two multi-classes, and I kept an eye on, because it was always a third class that caused the biggest problems. And I had power games every time. The one, it was always 2 levels of fighter, and then the rest, and then I had a sorcerer paladin.
Right. So we all agree that horizontal progression is good, right? We all want it.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so multiclassing is just a style of horizontal progression. So in whatever horizontal progression you have in your game system, I think all the criticisms you've been laying at this also apply to your own game system, because it's like, well, if you have horizontal progression, someone could come up with a broken combination and you would have to know beforehand and tell the DM.
We've had power gamers test it. We have had we have lots of power gamers that we know, and you know what they like doing? Finding and breaking systems. And you know what we've let them do? Find and break our system, and then we fixed it.
Yeah.
So
And that's what I intend to do as well.
We've done an awful lot of this, and Archmaster, I absolutely understand what you're saying, and all we're trying to do is, we're old and grizzled, right? So we've got our little, it's like, in my day, and this is what we're doing. We've been there at the tables. We've seen how people do these things and how they twist it. So when you're actually looking at your different combinations, you need to get some power gamers around your table to break your system. You know, and that you will learn so much from having them play and break it. It's just phenomenal. But yes,
I agree. I'm looking forward to it. Send them my way. I will give them free copies of the game if they come and break it for me.
Well, this video will be public at some point. Maybe you'll get a comment saying, hey.
Yes.
If you're a power gamer, contact Archmaster.
There's also this thing about horizontal growth, which is, what is horizontal growth? And often when I think horizontal growth, I think of it as being able to do more with the character. So, for example, gaining more skills or getting an improvement in another skill. I don't see it as gaining a whole new set of abilities. That's more multi-classing. So if I'm a paladin and I suddenly gain all the wizard stuff on top, that's not, to me, that's not horizontal progression. That's doubling your vertical progression, because now you've got 2 vertical streams heading up that give you a lot of power. Horizontal, I see more as utility. You're gaining more skills, you're gaining more abilities, you're gaining more things you can do to meet more situations and circumstances. So your character's becoming more versatile and more robust.
I think that's a weak distinction, because if I become a wizard and get transmutation spells, I have more utility, I'm more versatile, I can handle a much larger set of situations. I may not pick any damaging spells at all. It's all versatility. I don't really see much of a difference there.
But all the spells in our in our game, you just get your spells.
Yeah, that might have to do with like games and whatnot. But like, if you have a paladin and he stays in his class and he's level 8 and he picks a feat, the magic initiate feat, and gets a spell, that's horizontal or vertical progression.
Would he only get the 1 spell?
Maybe it's 2 spells. I don't know what the feat is, but like, whatever. He gets a couple spells. He gets no more spells than he would if he took the first level of wizard and got 2 spells. Same thing.
Yeah, but are those spells restricted in any way?
Same as if he got a first level in mage in wizard.
Okay, so he's now being able to combine divine and arcane spells together. So potentially you got issues there. On the face of it, it depends on your system. On the face of it, it sounds like an okay-ish kind of progression, horizontal. The problem you got is how potent your magic is. And if it allows all of a sudden a melee class to use an incredibly powerful arcane spell that is designed to be cast by a person who is a bit weaker as the counter to having that power, all of a sudden you're now allowing a character to not just grow horizontally but grow vertically at the same time.
Yes.
And that's your problem, because you end up with the square that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and that means the character can do so much more and really do it well.
Yes.
The example I'll use is, if you have a skill-based system and you give your players a number of skills, Shadowrun's a great one for this, and you go, right, create your character. They're not going to spread their points out across a big horizontal. They're not. They're going to pick what they want and go max, 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 max. I've got a few points left, a little bit horizontal. Because players want the vertical, they want that power. And they will always take an option, even a horizontal option, which is why you've got multi-classing within 5e. They will take that horizontal option because it boosts their vertical power. And it makes them that much more powerful. It brings them ahead. So 2 levels of fighter: A must, action surge. It's a huge burst for 1 round in combat. Every power game build has that pretty much as part of that build. And then it's 1 level of sorcerer. Why? Because it's all of those spell those spells you get that combine very well with the class that you got, or warlock, because of your pack magics and stuff. these combinations where your horizontal is giving you class abilities boost the vertical at the same time, and that's when you start to create instability. Your builds just don't get together, and you'll have dominating builds, and the moment you have dominating builds, no one looks at the wealth of options you've got. And it's great to have a wealth of options. They'll look at the ones that are effective and only go those. And I've seen this with Pathfinder, where when I ran Pathfinder, apart from one player, Vicky, everybody researched, went on to Reddit, found their power build, and played it at the table. They didn't create a character; they created a build.
Yeah, and you actually hear the guys who do this, and they all talk about it, and it's, what build did you go? Whereas I'm there going, I want a character, and I have a vision for the character, and then I actually create the character around that. So I think this is where you've got different styles of play will affect your verticals and horizontals and how people like it. I personally like to think of how my character is. I mean, I'm going to take Thea as an example. I had fifth edition Paladin. I first of all, I disliked the fact that they didn't have gods. So my Paladin actually did have a god. I was a Paladin of Savras. And I designed the character as I saw it. And because of that, it wasn't as powerful as it potentially could have been. And that's where you've got your horizontals, you've got your verticals. But if you're designing a character to how you want to play it versus I want to be the most powerful, there are different approaches to it. So I tend to take more horizontal because it's how I see my character. However, it's not necessarily the best way to progress that character. So you have to balance it yourself, especially when you're in a group. Because after a while, if you've not gone down the best route, it can be a little bit demoralizing when everyone is so much better than you. And you have to take that into consideration. And the more a system can be power gamed, the more likely you're going to hit that at the table.
I think I agree.
Yeah, it gets...
Well,
what's wrong with magic? Nothing wrong with magic. I love being a magic user. It's my favorite class. I love playing spellcasters. Yes.
What's the core ability that warlocks get in 5e?
They have
So
an
they
Eldritch
get
Blast.
their-
Eldritch Blast. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got lit up 7 ways from Sunday because I refused to take Eldritch Blast with my warlock.
Yeah.
Yay!
But I was like, there are reasons for it. First of all, as a Hexblade, I didn't really necessarily need it. And I like some of the other abilities. And I wanted to do something that wasn't just normal. At the same time, not just playing against type. I don't believe in that. And not gimping myself for the sake of gimping myself. But you don't have to have it. You can't be, you're going to suck the entire game without, I didn't suck. We didn't play long, unfortunately, but I didn't suck, at least while I played, because I found other ways of using my character's abilities. Some people just get stuck on these, like, you have to have it or you're just ruining the games. Like, no. As long as you're not playing against type, intentionally trying to break your character and so that you're useless, play characters with a different variety. So.
Yeah, a bit of flavor, always fun.
So a couple of follow-up questions here. First one I want to do, I actually wrote in segment 1, but I think now it really comes in. What do you guys think about front-loaded games? Because we've talked about vertical and we've talked about horizontal, but what about games that come front-loaded? And what I mean by that is you've got most or all of your character's powers at the beginning of the game. Perfect example, if anybody knows this channel, you know what game I'm going to say, but pretty much anything from the Palladium system. That doesn't mean that a first level character can just whoop up on a 15th level character. No, chances are low that that's going to happen. But it is technically possible, unlike D&D, where the dude can't even hit. The disparity is too much to hit. But what are you guys' thoughts, starting with Arch, because his segment, or what are your thoughts on games that front load this stuff a little bit more? And then I guess you'd say it's more horizontal since the bonuses aren't incredible after that. There's less vertical growth because you're giving it all up front. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that can be a lot of fun. If I understand it correctly, that's how older school D&D worked, where you didn't get ASIs, you didn't increase your ability scores as you played. I mean, you could buy magic, but like you didn't level up and increase ability scores. Your scores were what you
I mean, the
had.
combat matrix and Thaco alone would disagree with that. But then again, I don't know zero year. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
I know that I heard that with one of them, you didn't increase your ability scores. What you got at level 1 is what you kept. You progressed other ways. I think that can be a lot of fun. I think there's a time and a place for it. I think pretty much every way that you can play, there's a time and a place for. Depends on the group. That's a very large mug. It depends on the group. It depends on the campaign, etc. I think it fits really well when you have buy-in. Everything works if you have buy-in. If you're running some grimdark game where the sun has died 20 years ago and people are scrounging by and you don't expect a lot of progression and you have these abilities and you're good, or if you're like in the military and you're trained for 5 years to be a soldier and now you go out and fight and you're not going to get any more training, you're going to die before you're just going to go out and use what you have and win this battle, right? I think there can be lots of times and settings where that sort of thing works. I just don't think it's going to be it's not going to last a campaign. It's not going to be a long-term thing where lots of people are like, yeah, let's just start out with all our abilities and never progress them as we go, never progress power, and I'll just get a few other things on the side. I think your horizontal progression in that case would have to be very robust.
Wow, I already know there are a bunch watching. The Palladium fans are going to have a field day with you, but I can't wait to see how those comments come in.
I haven't played Palladium. It's just a hunch.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But I'm happy because we need these perspectives like this. That for some people you might be spot on. Absolutely. Like growth is kind of boring. Oh no! Between now and level 15, I get 1 or 2 extra attacks and a +3 instead of a +2. Wow, this is going to be fun. Again, that I'm totally going hyperbolic in the wrong way on that one, but you get the idea that that's how people will envision that. With that said, Dean and Vicky, what are your thoughts on games that are front loaded?
Well, funnily enough, go on, Dean.
Yeah, I actually like front-loaded games because your character's well defined from the start. Again, it depends the kind of setting, but say you're playing a hero fantasy, not superhero, but hero fantasy system, and you want to be a ranger. Do you want to be a ranger at first level that is completely useless, has hardly any abilities, has to wait till 3rd, 4th level, has to wait till 10th level for spells, and has to wait for, you end up not playing a ranger right at the start. You're not playing one. You're playing someone who's trying to survive and grow into being a ranger. And that in itself, if that's what you're after, fine, that's good. But I prefer to have, and I think that there's a great benefit to having a very front-loaded, not everything has to be front-loaded, but a front-loaded character where your core abilities are set right from the start. And then they may develop, grow, become more powerful, and broaden as you gain levels. And yeah, it does lead to the, do you know what, during this level, I'm rolling a hit dice and gaining my hit points, and that's it, which is fine. You're becoming a little bit tougher. What else have you gained over that level? Did you find a new magic item? Have you expanded your domain? Have you made new contacts? All of that is progression outside of just you gaining a level and gaining your hit dice. And that hit dice, you could roll max, in which case, wow, yeah, I load more hit points. I'm really now able to take on bigger threats and take that damage before being wounded. So yeah, for me, I think front loading is good because it creates a defined class and a defined character and helps the player understand what they've got available to them, and it makes it more fun at first level. There's a lot of D&D games that start at 3rd level, and for good reasons, because 1st and 2nd levels suck.
Yeah, it's essentially playing a different genre. The world may be in the same genre, but your experience of it is like you're grimdark in the mud with the rats, and it just changes genre as you play. And that's actually like design. They say, oh yeah, here are your 4 tiers of play and whatnot, but I just don't think it works.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I just mentioned a character, Thea, and Thea was a paladin of conquest, and I actually had a 1-on-1 combat at 1st level, and I sucked. I mean, what a good paladin.
You were 3rd level. I started you at 3rd level.
Yeah, that's it.
And you still
sucked. And I still
sucked. Wow.
It was, and you know what? It was really sort of demoralizing. I mean, I ended up loving the character, and she did end up growing in the way I wanted her to. But for a paladin of conquest, it was quite pathetic.
You couldn't even conquer one person.
Couldn't even conquer someone in one-to-one combat.
It was unfair. We were doing Tyranny of Dragons, and it was the half dragon I forget the name of the dragon, you fight at
yeah.
the start, and the half dragon's like this huge thing, loads of hit points, and you're supposed to be first level at this point. I started them at third, and even then it just completely pounds. Whoever challenges it is going to lose, unfortunately.
Yeah, I got well and truly. It wasn't even a little pounding. It was a complete pounding. But when you have a look at the fact that, you know, even at third level, the power level was quite pathetic. And there's nothing worse than you have a character, you have this background for a character, and then you take it out in your first or third level in this, and you're awful. You're nothing at all like how you envisage the character at this point. And that's what I quite like with front loading, is you can actually play the character that you've envisaged, and yes, you're still growing and you're still getting better through the game and through the adventure, but you are who you set out to be at the beginning. You are the wizard, or in our case the arcanist, or a paladin. You are that, and then you are improving as that character as you go along, rather than just being this complete weakling peasant who's actually is crap with a sword and is lucky if they, you know, don't trip over their own shoelaces, quite frankly. So yeah, I do like front loading, I really do.
This is another example, Max, of me saying something and thinking one thing, and you know, everyone else getting something entirely different. When I heard Max say front loading, I was thinking 80% of your abilities to start, and then the other 20% or less you get as you play. So
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant. I mean,
Yeah,
but you guys
but-
can take in other directions if you
But
want.
what y'all are talking about, front loading, is like level 3, like 15% of your abilities. I'm totally okay with that. That's fine. Absolutely. I think playing with less than that is for like a niche type of.
I'm
No,
talking
you
about
got
the
it right.
core abilities
You got it right.
being available to the character from
So-
first level.
So, all right, core
But then
ability, sure, but that's
there's
not like
growth that
that's not what-
that they can go through. So, for example, our ranger starts being able to mark enemies and do tracking and stuff like this right from first level, and they get a couple of wilderness stuff on top. As they go up the levels, they get a few more things, and develop further. But it is a defined character at first level, because you're not playing peasants; you're playing people who are seasoned. You've lived in the world for an extended period of time, and the call of adventures finally grabbed you, and you're now.
Yeah.
D&D typically, especially AD&D, you kind of start as a, you know, low level is you're slightly more than a commoner.
I see.
You know,
I
so
see.
it's expected in a game like that, and you're growing into it. And for me, I've never liked it.
I
The
see.
players I've run that for have never quite liked it, because, and some people love it, which is great. It's style of game. Other people want to invest in a character and see the character grow, still have the risk of death, but want to feel like they can actually do something right at the start of the game, rather than the start of the game just being I hope something doesn't hit me and crit because I'm dead.
Yeah, I see.
I just need to answer something. Eclectic Goat has just said, so Untold Destiny is a superhero game. No, nowhere near.
No.
Okay, so you're comparing it to D&D, where you start out to first edition, you know, old school, where you start out lower power. My question is, with your, you know, with Untold Destiny, or your, you know, preferred style, is it about equivalent to, you know, starting at third level for D&D, or like, you know, a third level ranger in D&D has their hunter's mark, they have their tracking, they have all their abilities. That sounds like what you're saying. It's like, you know, third level is 15% of the way.
Yeah, no,
Is it more than
5e continues to just keep, and 5e suffers a whole different problem, which is you got these core abilities at first level, you get more, and by third level you got your subclass on some of them get them early. So you're pretty much set, but then every level you're gaining something, you're expanding, you're gaining, and the bloat just continues and continues and continues. Okay. What we're talking about is right at the start, within the first few levels, your character should feel like your class should feel like a completed class, without the bloat of constantly grabbing stuff as you go up the levels. So stuff that you know, it's a design principle where you should receive something whenever you level. So what we're going to do is take all these abilities that you should have at level 1s and 2s and spread them out. So you get less at the low levels, but you gain them as you go up the levels, and then we're going to add a load more, because we have to fill every level with something that you get.
It's too much.
Are you saying that in your game, you're essentially starting out like a 20th level ranger with that kind of power
Oh
level?
God, no.
Oh, okay.
No.
So it sounds
You've
like
got
you're saying
utility.
it sounds like you're saying lower the ceiling, not necessarily raise the floor. Is that right? You're saying I want to start out at level 5 and not really progress past level 5, rather than start out at level 1 and have to progress 20 levels, or start at level 20, right? Isn't that
No,
kind of thing?
the way I would describe it is, and I wouldn't describe it in the sort of trying to pin it to a D&D level, because what I would describe it as is that I've left school and I have got my set core abilities. I have then potentially gone to university, right? And I am now an engineer. I'm starting off my adventuring career as an engineer. All right. So think of it in real world terms. So what you've got is you've got your core abilities that you've learned. So we've got the basic edition, which doesn't have a lot of the character options that you get in our advanced edition. But in the basic edition, you're a well-rounded individual is the way I would describe it. I wouldn't peg it at any particular D&D level. I would say you're a well-rounded individual, and the core things that make up your class, you will get at first. All right. And you will get, say, 4 or 5 things, but it doesn't mean then that every single level after that you get something special. You don't. You might just get hit points. All right. And what this actually means is you don't get bloat. So so there's no bloat, but you get really nice things to do. But it means your first level, you're well-rounded.
Okay.
Right. So you don't then go on to get really ridiculous things at high levels, because I don't know about you, but I can't stand sort of Marvel sort of level type things. I don't want to go zipping around planets and, with my cape behind me, flying around the universe. That's not the style of game I like. I like grounded fantasy. So you are a well-rounded, grounded character at first level, but it means you can do stuff. And then you get a sensible progression from that point on that is probably more horizontal than it is vertical. But the vertical rise you get gives you the ability to withstand more. I think that's about fair. Is that fair, Dean?
It is about fair. So the vertical growth is about being able to deal slightly more damage, being able to take slightly more damage, and that's where we differentiate our skill. So skill values, when you make tests and stuff, the number range is more or less the same from first level right the way up. We don't have this ratcheting higher DCs, higher DCs, higher DCs, and so forth, because your skill comes from multiple D20s. So on average, you roll higher because you're rolling more D20s to show you're better able to do something. And that keeps all of that kind of verticality at the same level. It's all about horizontal growth, and then damage and hit points are the vertical growth. So low-level threats are still a threat to you, albeit less of a threat. High-level threats with enough numbers and good tactics can still be taken down, because it's, they're tough, they got more hit points, they deal a lot of damage, but if you bring a small army and you're willing, and the army keep their morale, they don't break, you could potentially take down a dragon, but it would be risky and a lot of lives would be lost doing that.
So let me jump in here on that, just to kind of make the point more, because I don't know Untold Destiny, but using Palladium as an example, and as people put in comment, or the Polyrobotics Palladium books at first levels, kind of sounds like I just picked a book and found an OCC in here that's the character classes in Palladium. I'm not going to read all the descriptions here, but just to give you an idea, this is called the Eagle, which is apparently, this is out of Coalition Manhunters. Probably not the best book for me to pick, but at first level, so just being the character, you get Human Chameleon, which is a whole page write-up of what that means. And I'm not going to go through all that at 50%, but it goes up by 5% per level. Incorruptible, which means you're not going to give up state secrets. Again, about a half a page write-up on that. 50% plus 5 per level. Manhunting, which I didn't find. So some of these abilities, unfortunately, aren't written here. They're like, oh, it's later in the book, and I didn't have time for that. Poker Face, don't know what that means. Weapon Proficiency, Modern Expert. So there's like a whole new weapon proficiency stuff in here. Investigation skill is expanded, starts at 25 plus 5 per level. Bonus skills, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Oh, not OCC bonuses that they get. So they get bonuses to their, we'll call it hit points for the lack of better description here. Improvements to IQ, so there a couple of their ability scores, save versus psionic attack, special equipment. So that doesn't sound too powerful, but it is something that definitely says this is who I am.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
And
cool.
sure,
and it then grows as you go up
Yes.
levels, and this
Yes.
is what we're talking about. You gain the abilities, that they are utility, that they're great, you've got them available, then as you go up the levels they become more powerful, they grow with you, rather
right.
than you having to wait till you get to,
Exactly.
because they've got to fill every level with something. You have to wait for 5th level before you get incorruptible, and 10th level before you get this, and yeah. So front loading, I'm a big fan.
I agree. If that's what you're saying, I agree. I don't think you should have to wait to get a core ability. If it's something super fancy and cool, or an upgrade of an existing ability, that's what leveling is for. But I do want my class fantasy, my idea of like, this is my character, I'm a druid. I don't want to have to wait till 10th level to wild shape. It's like, no, that's I'm a druid. That's a defining feature. I totally agree.
At first level, you should be able to wild shape.
Right. My only thing is like, do I have the super mega advanced wild shape at first level? It's like, no, I think you should have to work with that. Yeah, I think we agree.
Yeah, okay.
We're just talking past each other.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's let me ask the other follow up here. We're kind of time is okay.
Time is relative, Max.
Time may be relative, but we have a hard out at 8:30 my time, which is in 40 minutes, and we still haven't done segment 3, and we still have a segment 4 to do as well. So I do want to ask this follow up though, because I think it's important for people who watch later or have questions. Starting with you, Arch, how does horizontal utility change campaign design or campaign growth, whatever term you like, compared with just getting raw combat abilities or a skill escalation?
How do they compare?
Well, how does horizontal utility change? How basically, I guess, put it. I don't like to lead you guys too much here, but how does a game campaign session change over time? So how does a campaign change over time when you have more horizontal utility versus when you just have number go up?
I would find it more interesting. I think the horizontal progression, as I mentioned way earlier, is really about being able to do new things. Where like now I have a new ability, not an upgrade of an existing ability, not higher numbers, a new thing that I can do. That to me, that's what horizontal progression is. So that works really well for a sandbox, like an actual open world, like what I think is the best. Where it's like, hey, here are the super high floating cliffs. And you've been playing this whole time and you just can't get to the floating cliffs because they're floating. Now you have horizontal progression. Now you get the ability to fly. Now you can get to this new place that you couldn't before. I think it works really well for not just an exploration game, because that dumbs it down, but it works really well for doing new things, going new places, fighting new enemies, doing new stuff, getting access to new forms of gameplay and just new parts of the world that you couldn't before. I think the vertical stuff, again, it can be boring really quickly if that's pretty much all you're doing. The vertical progression is pretty much, here's a challenge, a threat that we couldn't beat before, and now we're going to beat it, right? And as I mentioned at the start, a vertical progression can, it's still progression. You're still doing a new thing. Now I can kill the dragon when I couldn't before. But it's not exciting. It's not as exciting, at least to me. It doesn't lend to it doesn't make me want to do it. It doesn't make me want like, ooh, when I get this new ability, then I'll be able to do this. It just feels like something I've already done. I've already gone from killing a rat to killing a boar to killing a bandit to killing an ogre. Now I'm going to kill a dragon. Great, right? It doesn't feel like anything actually special. Whereas now finally accessing the floating mountains, sign me up. That's a new thing that I can do. That's cool. So I just think it's less interesting to focus on the vertical. And again, it leads to bloat. And now every other lesser problem like the goblins suddenly isn't a problem anymore. So you're not even expanding the part of the game. You're not expanding your reach into the game. You're actually trading it. Now you're trading, the low level areas for the high level areas. Now you can really only play in the high level areas because you just mop everything in the low level areas. So it's not even like you're expanding your horizon. You're just moving it, and you end up in the spot, and you still have the same little box you get to play in, which is whatever level you're in. So I think horizontal is vastly better.
Vicky, did you want me to ask it again, or?
This was about how it affects adventure design.
Yeah, adventure design, campaign design.
Yeah.
How you?
Yeah. Personally, what I find is, and it was quite interesting what you said about different sort of areas, different levels of areas, Archmaster. Because what I find with a living, breathing world is if you are if you're unlucky, you don't know what you're going to bump into. So I think that the one thing that it does is it allows a GM to actually create a living, breathing world, and also put out signs for whether or not you're going to come across things that you may not be ready for. So I think this is where, if you've got your broad, you've got your different skills, and if you've got your vertical leveling, I think that it affects how the GM will weave the adventure that you're on and leave hints about what is in the local area. We tend to design, if anyone's ever seen our world building stuff, we tend to design against biomes and things like that. If you're straying into an area that would have certain creatures, you would get signs of that. One of the things your horizontal growth can allow you to do is it can allow you to recognize signs of things that may be not necessarily a good thing for you to come across. And those skills can also help you do things like hide from them, to camouflage things. So it's not always about combat. And that's the one thing I wanted to say, is that adventuring isn't always about combat. It's also about how you utilize those skills to avoid combat, how to protect yourselves out in the wild. You know what? I can see tracks of this great big thing and we want to avoid it. How do we camouflage ourselves and avoid these things? And I think the horizontal growth is what helps your character learn how to survive better out in the wild, which means that the GM can actually have more fun and put interesting things into the world around you. There we go. There's my answer.
Okay. And Dean?
If you have a lot of vertical growth, your world has to change quite radically around the player. So you have to have almost, I'm taken back to it being a lot of vertical growth. To me, reminds me of MMOs. You know, you're in your starting area that's designed for levels 1 to 3. You're now moving outside your starting area, or rather you've hit level 4. Oh shit. Yeah. The 1 to 3 zones too low level for you now. You've got too much power. You're dealing with all the threats. I've got to create another zone now that's a bit more powerful that you go into and so forth.
Did you ever play EverQuest?
Yes.
Come on, hill giants walking around the orc camps, Lord Shinri popping at low level, you know.
Oh, it was a brutal game.
I love it.
It was great. Yes. And so if you have a lot of vertical growth, your world, and I think second edition, your AD&D suffers with this a lot, even 5e suffers with it, which is the challenge. What becomes challenging to the player has to constantly change, has to constantly being upgraded, has to constantly move. And it's either they're going, okay, you're in this area of the world, which is inhabited with orcs and goblins, but you're now at this level and orcs and goblins are really no threat anymore. So we're going to have to change the adventure, or you're going to have to move off to do something else, or you can start to go plane hopping and hit challenges there, or this big event happens, cultists move in, they start summoning demons, and now you've got a bigger challenge to deal with. And it's that constant ramp up. And to me, that's when you're running a game, it's if everything's too easy, players get bored. If everything's too hard, the players struggle and feel that it's unfair, or you just suffer TPK after TPK after TPK, and after a while, players are just going to get fed up of creating characters. Having much more horizontal means your characters, as they develop, get to do more things. It's exactly what you said there, Archmaster. So I'm agreeing with you. We've now got access to fly. We can now do this in the world. We've now got access to this. We can now do that in the world. And I think that's the better way. You create a more natural world where low-level threats or early threats are still a threat as you go up the levels. You might have dealt with them. We've sent those kobolds packing. And then several levels later, oh, we're getting rumors that they're creating a camp again. We're going to have to go back there. Oh, God, there's more kobolds, but they're still a threat. Our vertical growth has gone up slightly, and more kobolds still equals a big threat to us, so we're having to deal with it. It's still kobolds, and we've gained a load of levels, but we've done a lot of other stuff in between. So it's not like we're constantly fighting kobolds. So yeah, more horizontal, less vertical, creates a more interesting and a more natural world.
Yeah.
Yep.
I totally agree. That's how I designed my thing. I'm really looking forward to playing in your games. We've totally got to make this happen.
Yeah.
Oh, we will. We will.
That didn't sound like an offer. That sounded like a threat.
We've got to make this happen.
Oh, sorry. We will.
All right.
All right, let's we got a half hour. I don't think we're gonna have a segment 4 today, which is fine. If there's one segment, unfortunately, that we can bypass on, it is segment 4, but we'll see here. We are gonna jump into segment 3 here in just a moment, but don't forget to share this video with your tabletop RPG community and friends. We have about a third of our normal viewers today. What's going on? What's going on? Third. So if you can share this video, if you can spread the word and say, hey, this was a good discussion. I can't talk. See, that's why nobody's watching. I can't talk. A good discussion about potential power creep, about vertical versus horizontal, about all these different things. And I've got a bunch of comments I'm going to make in the members only section that might surprise some folks. I don't know. So I don't fully agree with everything that's been said here, but it's been a really good discussion. And I hope you all are learning something from it, especially if you're new to the hobby and want to know more about what all this is, or if you've only ever played one game and you want to know more about what the different options are out there. So I hope this is something that you guys are enjoying and can spread the word on. So also, if you see it, tap that hype button and help get this discussion trending. Because without your support, there will be no Legion of Myth. That's Game Master Insight or RPG Digest in 2027. True story. You or someone you know may make an amazing panelist. Sign up on the Game Master Insight Discord. Link in the description. Read the rules. Find a panel topic that interests you. Now, in this third conversation, our panelists are going to talk about evaluating over the long arc here. What really worked? How do you tell the payoff? Whether vertical, horizontal, a combination thereof. What is the payoff, and how do you know that it did pay off for you and it's the right type of game for you? But let's finish this segment with our super chats and member comments. Have a couple things started here. And a bunch of gifted memberships. Thank you very much. I'm not going to click on all of them, but thank you very much, Lord Lauren Soth, for the gifted memberships. And those of you who did get gifted memberships, guess what? You now have access to over 5,000 videos, not the 2,000 you thought we had. So, you know what? I'm not going to say they're all good, but I'll say we have 5,000 videos out there. We've been doing this for a little while here. I Drink Therefore I Am says, players can't even find the plot point that you have dropped, pointed at, highlighted. Now you want them to look for something for their character? Yeah, okay.
I do. I require my players to put in effort and work. I don't handhold them, and I certainly don't drop plots in front of them. I don't even do that. So no, in my system, all they have to look for is their own character stuff. So there.
All right, there we go. Vicky just dropped the best advice to game designers. I don't know what it was. I don't know what we were talking about so long ago at this point.
It was
get your power gamers to play your game and break it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There we go. I'm like, I don't remember what this was about. I should have wrote a note in my notebook because I write everything else in there. Like,
that's why we don't want to kick out power gamers from the hobby. Stay for the new game designers.
Yeah. No, just from my table. So, and Poly Robotics, member for 21 months. He's been a really good supporter of the channel. He did say he had to head out and he's gonna, catch this tomorrow, the rest of it tomorrow. But how does this group feel about Undead? If you do, Max has the perfect game for you. Dead Rain. I hate you, Polly. I hate you sometimes. Dead Rain is a Palladium game. Yes, I'm covering it right now. Matter of fact, this Sunday I'll be covering some of the character classes. Yes, check that out. The reason why it's a joke or a meme here is I don't like the zombie trope. I hate it. I hate the zombie trope. I play necromancers all over Dungeons and Dragons. I play nethermancers in Earthdawn. I love the concept. I just so hate zombies and vampires thanks to current popular genre. If I never hear an Anne Rice book again or anything about The Walking Dead ever in my life, I will be the happiest person ever. That's my issue with Dead Rain. Outside of that, it is absolutely a fantastic game of undead and can give you a lot of good ideas for how to utilize undead, even if they are just zombies in that game. So check that out. Cool. All right. So what do we got next here? Oh, we're moving on to segment 3. What's our little image for that one? Boop. There it is right there. Look at that. The cool man just sitting back. He got his payoff. He knows it. So let's kick off this third and final conversation that focuses on evaluating the satisfaction of the long arc. And we're going to start with Vicky on this. I can't talk with this one. A campaign's advancement model ultimately succeeds or fails by how satisfying the full climb feels. Or I guess the full, monkey bars if you're going horizontal, right?
Absolutely.
This segment asks whether zero to hero progression creates earned payoff, meaningful escalation, and memorable play, or whether it eventually becomes bloated, disconnected, and hard to run. Now, the other side of that is if you want to talk more about just the horizontal side, you can, but this is the one that, kind of gets people more animated.
Yeah, well, for me especially, I enjoy both vertical and the horizontal. I think that the model actually succeeds if, and I hate to say it, if the players and the GM enjoy the campaign and actually feel that they've achieved something by the end of it. And I think that if they work well together, and if they're utilizing their horizontal abilities, plus have got enough through the verticals that they feel like they've achieved something, their character has grown, then essentially that campaign's won. That campaign, it's never to me against the GM against the players. It's not the GM trying to kill the players. It's the GM and the players trying to create something together that they both come away with and think, oh, that was really good and that was satisfying. We played a campaign where we tried to stop 4th edition coming around. So we played a 2nd edition campaign, and the whole campaign was to stop 4th edition. And you know what? That was amazing. And it felt good, especially since 5th edition came out right at the end of the campaign. So we succeeded. And that was our view, and we enjoyed it. I think as long as your different growth supports that cohesion with the players and the GM, then everybody wins. And that's my view, and that's what I love. That's why I love playing. I love creating something together. There you go. Mine is quite short and sweet.
It's good because we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
See?
but this is a conversation. So, guys, what are your thoughts, or what do you have to add to that?
Go ahead, Dean.
Okay. The big payoff is investment in the character, investment in the story, investment in the world. And whenever I run a campaign, I try to keep things fresh. So things are always changing. There's always new stuff happening. There's always new opportunities. The players don't always take those opportunities, don't take the paths that are available to them, and that's perfectly fine because the players are also creating their history and putting their mark on the world. Your level progression is just one small facet of this. I think the best payoff you get is the satisfaction of knowing, of A, feeling that you're part of a living, breathing world, and B, succeeding at whatever goals you put down for your character, and whether that be defeating the big bad or creating a tower or whatever it happens to be. If at the end of the campaign you're, yes, I love this character, I've got fond memories, I love the campaign, I think we've done a great job, we've had laughs, we've had moments of tears and being on the knife edge, and we've had great victories. That to me is the payoff. And I think that can happen whether it's vertical or horizontal growth of your characters, because it's more than just that at that stage.
I pretty much agree with that. I think vertical progression can be quite satisfying. Even horizontal progression, I got all these new abilities, like the collectionist in us, the completionist in us. Ooh, I gathered all the abilities. I visited every location because I got water breathing, and then I went underwater to see the merfolk, and then I got flight, so I went up there to see the bird folk, etc. All of those can be satisfying to different types of players. But I think one that is pretty universally satisfying, as kind of an abstract concept, is change. At the end of the game, did something change? Did it matter? Like, did we actually do something? Did the world state change, right? Personal change, personal growth, personal development, personal power. You can have the change happen in you. That can be a lot of very satisfying to people. I got all my cool abilities. I explored new places, or, I had a personal, emotional character arc growth, right? That can be fun. But in general, what all those have in common, and what I actually like in this stage in my life, which is, did I change the world, is you want to know that a serious change happened, that you did something, right? I think the personal stuff isn't as satisfying because it's all in you. Like, you can decide if you change. You pretty much get to decide your own character arc. you didn't really have to work very hard to accomplish it. You kind of just decide that it happens, right? I know I'm downplaying it, but like in general. But if you change the world, if you took over the nation or thwarted the BBG and the GM didn't railroad and hold your hand and make it happen, right? If you actually, really worked for stuff and you shaped the world and you made stuff happen, and by the end of it, you look back, I don't care if I'm still level 1. If I changed the world by the end of it and I really had an effect, that is so satisfying to me, way more than my own personal growth and abilities or even a character arc. I want to change something. That feels awesome to me.
I couldn't be more opposite from you on what you said there.
Really? Wow, That's so interesting.
I care about my character's growth and my party's growth, and I don't care if we ever slay a dragon. I don't care if we ever take over something. One of the things I'm going to talk a little bit more about in members only real quickly is I could run or play in a game. If you told me, hey, I'm going to run a D&D game, but we're never changing. We're never leveling up. We're just going to stay level 3. As long as the challenges that we face match that level. And believe me, I have every Monsters Compendium from 2nd edition. I have monsters for years that would be different, unique, and interesting. I would have a great time in there as long as my character grew. I saw my armor change. I saw my mentality change. I saw, the party go more cohesive. And sure, we got some treasure, so maybe we got that wizard tower. That's supposed to get that to level 9. Shut up, we couldn't level. We got it level 3 now. Whatever. As long as I saw that, I'd never have to slay a dragon, kill a Githyanki. I could kill kobolds my entire life, as long as there's something interesting going on at the same time as, saving the farmers, the farmers over here. And, now we got to help a mercenary band over there. We can keep it interesting, and still keep it at low level. So that's my point, is like, I don't need that. Oh my God, did we save the world today? I rescued a kitten. That's good enough. A little girl's happy,
Oh. I know. I like that. I like that because it's about the character fulfilling their goals and aims, and within the campaign that works.
But what it's to show is that there's different strokes for different folks, right?
Exactly. I think we've all kind of said the same thing, which is the growth and the payoff comes from feeling like your character's achieved something in the world. And it might not be at any levels, but as you said there, Max, you got enough, you saved enough gold. You're building your tower. You're still 3rd level, but you're doing something in the world. Your character is achieving something, and it doesn't need to be grand. It can be quite mundane. And you can have a campaign that goes from 1st level to 4th, and that's it. And everybody goes away thinking that was an amazing campaign because we did. Often people don't go, oh yeah, that was a great campaign because I leveled 3 times. They'll go, that was a great campaign because we did. And that, I think, is the payoff for advancement.
All right. What do I have here for follows? Because you guys actually handled that segment way better. And it's not just because there was a sinker, but no, they made the points, and they made the points in a very finalish way where it's like, you don't really have to have much more discussion on top of that unless you guys want to. But here we go. I'll do this one. Sorry, Vicky, but I'm going to do this to Arch, even though it's your segment, because he's the one that kind of precipitated it more. What makes, I'm going to use this word, you might disagree with it, but just go with it. What makes legendary advancement feel earned rather than just merely accumulated?
That's an excellent question, and I think in order for it to really feel like legendary advancement and not just a continuation of everything else, where it's like, yeah, you progressed, but legendary is its whole other set of progression in its own vein. I think you have to have major sacrifice. I think it has to be, like, as you said, choice, where the magic item or the thing. It has to be major choice, major sacrifice, where, save this city or your true love or something. It has to be like, I am deciding the type of hero I am. I am deciding my values, what is most important to me. I have to drill down into my soul to decide, who am I? What do I value? What is goodness, right? You're asking the big questions, like, what is God? Like, what is goodness? Like, why are we here? What do I value? I think that's what, legendary heroes are. And when you have a choice that, or several of them that require you to really, connect with the mythic and connect with your soul and make a serious choice and have to sacrifice and lose something. You don't get it all. You don't get to win. Like, you've been winning this whole time. From 1st level to 16th, whatever, you've been winning and winning and winning. Now you don't get to win. You have to lose something in order to get to the next step. You have to die and be reborn, right? There has to be some major sacrifice where you're never the same. I think that is required for a legendary transformation for you to really feel like I have ascended. I'm a legendary character.
Okay. And Vicky and Dean, if you want to jump in on that, the reason I tagged him first on that is because what he was talking about earlier. But by all means, if you guys want to jump in on that, what makes legendary advancement feel earned rather than merely accumulated?
I think choice, what Archmaster said there is absolutely right. I think all characters need to have choice in order to make those challenging decisions. And I actually had it once when I was playing a drow, and an Archmaster.
I'm banning you now. You're done. Nope, you don't get to be on here anymore. Where's the kickoff button?
My first character was a drow.
Oh, I'm kicking you too.
I was running the game. Am I out?
Yes. I hate. Go ahead.
Well, I was playing a drow, and I was actually a priestess of Alestre, and at the time, and I had a choice. I had to either save a large group of people, or I had to maneuver ourselves into a position where we could actually take out the bad guy, which would probably save more people in the long term. But it meant that a lot of my people had to be sacrificed. It was it's the typical, it was exactly the same sort of decision as Winston Churchill having to sit on not being able to save Coventry. It was that sort of decision. It was a lot of people were going to die. And I remember as a character being really upset about it, and as a player being really upset about it because I couldn't save these people. But it made that character progression to the point where she managed to actually get revenge on the big bad that did this. It made it all the more sweet because she'd had to make that decision. And it was something that I struggled with as a player, and the character struggled with because of what she was trying to do. So you're right, sacrifice is something I think that comes into Legendary. But I also think it is just that achievement. You can have a legendary game without having world-changing events, just by having progression and achieving interesting and enjoyable things. I think legendary can just be the fact that you've all got together for however long, 2 years or whatever, and progress the campaign, and it's concluded and you're all happy. I think that's as legendary as a character having achieved something legendary. I think that as a group you can do that as well. Go on then, Dean. It's your turn.
Wow. Do it.
Because he's got that pondering
she's
look.
very threatening, isn't she, on this panel?
Lewis, because you're doing your pondering thing.
Yes. No, I was wondering whether to mention our legendary system within the advanced version, which is it's legend points you get for your character if they go over and beyond. And for me, that's legendary actions. You're making sacrifices. You're going up against the odds. You're outgunned, but you know it's the right thing to do because you're helping someone. You're doing what's good. You're doing what's right. And we then also have a combined system where the whole party legend is pulled together to create a party legend pool and to show
what
how
other game does something like that.
No, don't tell me play. Seriously. Anyway.
No, you know what game, right?
Oh, Earthdawn has.
We both enjoy it.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, Earthdawn. Yes, because you get legend and you spend it then on your skills. But we got XP, and this is a legend system that slots in to encourage a certain style of roleplay. Party can turn around and go, no, we're not doing it. We don't want to be, and they just don't earn legend, and that's perfectly fine as well. But it's a measure of how legendary the characters are becoming, and if they get enough when they're at 20th level, they get the ability to ascend, become powerful, live beyond themselves and become a living entity within the Aether. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, legend. Yeah.
Well, that's actually one of the things I didn't do well in Earthdawn when I ran the game, was because you have legend points and then you have the reputation system, and I didn't actually use it as well as I could have or should have back then. But live and learn, I guess. All right, do I have time for one more? I might have time for one more.
Paddy's right.
Yeah, Paddy's right. We still drink. Earthdawn's awesome.
I'm, you know what? I can't drink. You know, we do have a good super chat coming up, but man, $50 and I get to have some of this. I'm saying.
That poor little boy is begging, please.
Heaven's Door Revival Tennessee Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Else I have to go to bed sober. Oh, anyway. Well, there was one I was looking at here, and oh yeah, because I think this sums up everything. You know, we're talking about how do you know if a campaign ends well or if it worked or whatever, and I think this really wraps it up. And you know, we'll start with Vicky with this. Which campaign outcome best proves that the progression system you chose worked?
Oh.
And by the way, I'm gonna nix one answer right now because everybody had fun. Okay, we got that. Oh, we want a real answer.
My favorite was, there's two. The first one was our Business Unusual, which was our testing campaign that we also filmed. And that felt really good at the point where we'd progressed it to such a level that the characters really gelled. We'd actually seen the system come together and it was working really well. But more importantly, we had the progression right, and we had that balance of creature character progression, and it was right, and it was really balanced, and that felt fantastic. It was also really cool because it was very much an Eldritch campaign, and we managed to drive off the big bad at the time. And that was superb. So we tracked him down. We had actually pushed ourselves beyond. We tracked him down. We managed to drive him off. Note that we'd managed to kill one of the big bads, but I think there was still something out there in the ether. But we managed to get rid of this book that had been causing so much trouble. And that felt superb. So I'd say that was my most favorite campaign, and that was very much, of course, we've got a lot of horizontal progression within Untold Destiny plus some vertical, and it just felt good. If I look at other campaigns, I'd have to say one of my favorite campaigns was the Earthdawn campaign that we did. That was absolutely phenomenal. Unfortunately, we didn't end up defeating the big bad. It was actually a total party kill at the end, all because one of the party members didn't tell the other party something that had been going on in the background all the way through the campaign. Otherwise, we'd have probably been able to survive, but the horror got us, I'm afraid. But that was really satisfying. As characters, we grew. We ended up becoming governors. We ended up doing so many things, and we were all windlings, and it was just a perfect campaign. And
you cannot convince me that an all windling party is fun.
It was great.
No,
it was fun for us. It wasn't fun for
God.
Dean.
No, it
I
was
hate
painful.
windlings.
So does Dean.
Yes.
I usually
And of course,
ban,
I
actually,
think it was-
to be honest, I ban windlings from most of my games. Now
Yeah.
that I think about it,
They
Dean
had the
does
20-minute flight
Yeah.
back then. I think it's been dropped down to 10 minutes
10,
now,
yeah.
but they had 20 minutes back then.
Yeah, Dean said that we weren't allowed to go windlings if we played against, but and the only other campaign that I'd actually say that I also thoroughly enjoyed was Shadowrun. The Shadowrun was the other one that Dean ran, which was absolutely fantastic because we were all basically Dockwagon. We were working.
You
for
were
Dockwagon.
legitimate.
oh, that's right. You talked about that. Sounded absolutely amazing.
It was
working
I
for
like
awesome.
that
Dockwagon,
idea.
trying to earn your bonus pay. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to earn our bonus pay. So didn't have as much in the way of story arcs and stuff, but it was fantastic fun.
Yeah, but you
Very
can talk about,
episodic.
look,
It
it's
was
like an
great.
ambulance driver. You can talk about the different scenarios that happen. You couldn't get to the place right off the bat because the cops hadn't secured the area yet. You can have a lot of stories with that. I can see that.
And of course,
Yeah, we did.
as they got better and did the jobs better, they got access to better gear from Dockwagon. So they started off just like this road-bound, not being able to take on platinum calls. And the more jobs jobs they did, the more reputation they gained. They then got the flying dock wagon, and they could do platinum calls and stuff like that. It was great.
It was
really good.
awesome. It was
Again,
absolutely awesome.
advancement systems in the game don't have to be your level. They can be a lot of other things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Completely agree. They're best when it's lots and lots of other things besides just level. Totally agree.
So sorry, I gave you
Dean
3.
and Arch, I will bring this question to you guys. So, which campaign outcome best proves that the progression system that you chose worked?
Mine's easy. Everything Vicky said.
Oh, you can't say that. It's cheating.
I can.
No,
I ran those games.
I know, but that's but you've played in games. You can choose some of them. Come on.
Oh God!
I'm going to tell him off for being lazy, guys. I'm sorry. He doesn't get to be lazy. Come on.
I think the
What about
Tyranny of Dragons.
Nylandra? When you were playing Nylandra.
Yeah, but that didn't end well. That did not end well. And that was seconded with a DM who was very strict and was very stingy with magic items. So I was like getting on to 12th, 13th level with barely any items, and it gets hard to survive at
Man, if there's just some story out there about a solo or a net runner.
Yeah, if only. Well, I have an opinion on it. So I think what makes it work. Well, as long as everyone had fun, right? No. What makes you know, what lets you know that your progression method of choice worked? That is a really good question. I think you pretty much have to. Like it's kind of similar to if everyone had fun. It's satisfaction. It's kind of a like the true essence of it is, were people satisfied with their progression? Which kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Did something change? Whether it's your character or the world, like whatever your target was that you wanted to change, were you able to make it change? That level of satisfaction is kind of self-decided. Like you get to decide if you were satisfied. It's kind of hard to choose some kind of outer metric where if this clearly visible circumstance was met, then it's satisfying. I think it's very personal.
But I think that's important because, again, for folks out there, some people look at numbers, other people look at characters, other people look at world building, so to speak.
Aww.
So, thank you, and we'll get to that in a second. So there are different ways that people can look at that because there are different types of players. So I don't think just because I say you don't say as long as you had fun. I wanted people to put more behind that, but I don't think your answer is missing the mark at all.
Glad to satisfy. Now drink before 8:30 comes.
Fine, I will do that. Well. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. That is. I think we wrapped this up pretty well. But I will give, starting with Vicky. We'll go across. We'll go Vicky, Arch, and then Dean. Any final comments? Since we're not going to have a segment for today, any final comments that you have on this topic of vertical or horizontal progression that you've left on the table that you want to quickly get out now, or are we good to go? Starting with Vicky.
Horizontal and vertical combined so that it works well for you at your table. Is always the best way. I don't think just going one or the other works. Get a decent combination, find a system that works for you, and it will just work. And if one of those systems is Untold Destiny, which Dean and I have created, all the better.
There we go. That's how you do a quick plug. I love it, Arch.
Not to try to compete too much, but I think I mostly agree with Vicky. I think that it really is about mixing and matching and finding what works for your table. That's why my game system, Arches of Aptildon, has 9 different layers of progression that are entirely optional. I mean, you only need your race and your background, and everything else is optional. But you get to say a little bit here, a little bit there. That mix of vertical progression and horizontal being very modular, where you, with arbiter approval, get full control over every little type of progression, and you're not kind of locked in like, well, here's D&D, here's your class, 20 levels, go, where you're just stuck with whatever mix of vertical and horizontal progression they hand to you. I think it's much better if you actually have the control to decide just how much you go. I think some of the most satisfying customization, which is a form of progression, is choice, is when you decide, I want to have this ability, I want to have that one. And so even if it's like, it's not even just specifically a certain mix of horizontal and vertical, it's, did you get to customize your character the way you wanted it to be? Maybe you wanted horizontal, maybe you wanted vertical. As long as you're able to achieve that, that can be satisfying for the players.
Okay. And Dean, wrap us up, sir.
Okay. Find what suits you best. Find the players who like it, find the person who wants to run it, and go for that. Whether that's incredible vertical, so something like 3rd edition Pathfinder or whatever that I typically don't like. If that's your cup of tea, drink it, do it. If it's something that's more, you know, a lot of horizontal growth and very little vertical, and you love it, and you find the system you want to play, go for it. This has been a great discussion. I've really liked exploring this with everybody. And I think, you know, role play is personal. You got to find what suits you. And my only advice, there are a lot of indie systems out there. Have a look at them, because they aren't your corporate stuff, and they are very different with very different styles. And you may be surprised. You may find something that really, you know, floats your boat and brings a lot of satisfaction to your table. And yeah, play them.
All right, we're going to go a little, we've already technically gone a little over. So we're going to knock out these super chats. And Cam, you just had to do it, didn't you? Just had to say it. Oh, that's funny. But good to see you here. I haven't seen you other than when I was on their channel. I haven't seen you in a long time. So let's get through these super chats. Let me go through my little scripty poo here. And right now it's time to become a Legion of Myth channel member. Some were gifted out today by hitting that join button. You can also support after the live stream with a super thanks. Remember, without your support, there will be no Legion of Myth in 2027. Do you think you have more panel presence, better opinions? You're gamers. I know you think you have better opinions. More experience or something else to improve upon a panel like this? Sign up on the Game Master Insight Discord. Link is in the description. Read the rules and find a panel topic that interests you. We are not going to do segment 4 tonight. Unfortunately, we don't have time for it. We've got to go. So I will read the super chats, and then I will do that. So here with the super chats here, did that. Bear the Gen X GM member for 3 months. Thank you very much, sir. Always appreciate you being here. Hope you're watching. Daryl, Eret, I cannot talk today. What game system progression? Okay, what game or system does progression best for you, panelists and Max? All right, we'll start. It was during segment 3, so we'll start with Vicky. Vicky, what game system, in your opinion, does progression best for you?
Okay, well, I'd be wrong if I didn't say Untold Destiny, but if I wasn't allowed to choose Untold Destiny, I would say Earth Dawn.
Wow, what is it about Earth Dawn?
I just loved it. I loved the legend system. I loved the way that I just loved Earth Dawn. I loved the whole thing, everything from the setting, the background of it, and the legend system. It just seemed to work, and I did enjoy it. It got a bit gnarly at higher level, you know, as you sort of went further through, but I did enjoy it. I loved Earth Dawn.
Okay. The reason why I said wow is because we struggled with the system a little bit because of how you had to spend the points and then do the training time. Like there were a lot of moving
Did I mention the
parts for it.
spreadsheet? Did I mention the
spreadsheet?
spreadsheet?
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, Dean had a spreadsheet.
It took all of that admin out, and it became much, much better.
Yeah, the spreadsheet made it a breeze, and yeah, I loved it. And I loved the stuff I could do, and you know, I loved making Dean's life a misery by playing a windling. What can I say?
Awesome. Arch, what game system does progression best for you?
I think any game that requires a spreadsheet to play is a little much. But
It didn't require it. It's just that it had moving parts in there,
help,
and they weren't in a good order. So it's like,
Yeah.
you'd figure, okay, this is what I do. Then 5 pages later, oh crap, I didn't know this was on top of it as well. It's a first edition book, and from the
okay, first
early
edition,
90s.
yeah.
So
It was first edition,
So I would have to say, like Vicky, my own game does progression best to me because I designed it, and so I picked the best of everything that I saw. But like her, I think it's a good example. If I had to choose another game, again, I haven't played a ton of other games, but
That's fair.
I have played some. I've looked at Knave 2E and played a bit
Oh,
of
wow.
Mouse Ritter and played a bit of ICRPG. So I think what I'm interested in exploring, I have no idea if I'll like it, but the best I can say is what I'm interested in exploring is a truly classless, levelless system where you progress via equipment, where you go out and find better equipment. You pick up a spell, now you're a wizard. You pick up 14 spell books, now you're a mega wizard, right? You're an archmage. Finding new and better items, that's something I'm interested in. I'm looking forward to it. I like it. It's in my game system as an optional type of progression, and I think there's something to explore there. There's something I haven't quite been satisfied. There's something calling me in there, so that's what I'm looking forward to next. But my system has pretty much every type of progression available, so I would say that's my favorite.
Okay. And Dean?
Okay. Apart from the obvious, Untold Destiny, if I had to pick something else, that's a really difficult one because I house rule everything I run. So
Yes,
it's
same here,
not the
same
pure
here.
system. It's not the pure systems. Earth Dawn was the one I house ruled the least.
Wow. Okay.
And I think for that reason, it's like Vicky, it's probably Earth Dawn. I had a blast running it. It was a long
I
campaign.
loved it.
It had, for me, it was the least stressful to run. The only
yeah.
thing that let it down is it's tied heavily into a world. So when it comes to rerunning it, it's the same world, it's the same thing. And
Make sure we talk after this live stream.
Yeah.
I've actually started working on my game again.
all right. Oh, nice.
I've solved a problem, but we'll have to save that for later.
yeah.
And you know my game is based on Earth Dawn conceptually. So,
Yeah.
awesome.
So yes, Earth Dawn.
Well, thank you, Daryl, for the $20. Really do appreciate that. You're awesome, sir. Jess Laws says, probably already talked about, but I'd like to know more about Vicky's game. I could look it up. We don't have a lot of time right now, and some has been mentioned, but since you did super chat, I will give Vicky and Dean a quick moment to quickly talk about it. I mean, we're only 6 minutes over, so go ahead and what do you want to tell them about, or tell her and the audience about Untold Destiny?
Well, Untold Destiny, I am the co-creator along with Dean. Say hello, Dean.
Hello, Dean.
There we go. He gets it eventually. Untold Destiny is a multi D20 system that we've bought, that we're bringing out. We have the basic system that you can get first level taster rules, which will give you everything you need for first level. It is on Drive-Thru RPG, Evereye Games. Go find it. We'll put the link in.
It's in the description
wherever.
right now.
In the description. The link's in the description. Go take a look at it. We have got 5 out of 5 star ratings so far on Drive.
And don't ruin that.
Please don't trash it, please, because I love it. But we also do, for anybody who does download it, if you go to our website, we also have a feedback form. We will be taking all feedback seriously, because October the 13th, we are going to back a kit for Untold Destiny Basic Edition, and we want to make it the very, very best it can be. So all feedback is gratefully received. So there we go, multi D20 system, fantastic dynamic combat, immersive at the game table. You will love it as much as I do. Go check it out now.
No, you're gonna love it more.
More. And we will be setting up the one-shots. So what we'll do is we'll publicize the one-shots. Please come and play with us. You will love it. It's really good fun to play. And whilst I'm here, Archmaster and Max, when you get your gamer going, we also do indie game spotlights on our channel. Where we do deep dive into other indie games. Come and watch them. Max, once you've got your game up, come on, do an indie game spotlight. Arch, you know that you are invited. Indie game spotlight for you. We want to do a deep dive into your system.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. And we got 2 comments left here. Thanks again, Jess, for the $8. Appreciate that. Daryl has a comment on here. Choice and sacrifice are perfect elements of conflict for all emergent stories. Yeah, because if you don't know how it's going to turn out, the choices that they make, whether it is sacrifice or whatever the choices are, become exciting even for the game master, because you didn't go in with pre-planned. You just knew that, well, they went this way, they met whatever. Could be the wizard, it could be the dragon, it could be just some random merchant on there, and then things happen, and boom, that is exactly, in my opinion, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. It's emergent storytelling. The story comes from the character's actions and the dice rolls. So what do you guys think about that real quickly?
Yes.
Emergent adventure, not emergent storytelling. Emergent adventure is the only way.
Can we not go back to this, please? Please.
Always, every time. It's part of my trademark. I have to mention it.
And then finally, booyah, for $50. I drink, therefore I am. Drink. I'm a man of my word. He said, he put in chat, like, can I hear something about Cyberpunk to make Max drink? So that's why I mentioned the solo and the Netrunner. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. You've been a good supporter of the channel recently, and I can't thank all you members, those you gifted membership. I see you, Lord Soth, out there. Folks who super chatted, you're absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. And this is to I drink, therefore I am. How apropos is that?
Yes. Lord Lauren gave like 3 or 4 gifted memberships.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Lord Lauren. Sorry, it used to be Lord Soth for somebody else. So that was my bad. Thank you for correcting me on that.
I think it's Lord Lauren Soth, actually, but
that might be what it is.
Yeah, it's both Lord Lauren Soth.
Okay,
yeah,
I just know Lord Soth from Dragonlance, so it's easy for me to remember it. And my mouse brain here shortens everything. So, but thank you, folks.
Archmaster's too young. He hasn't got to our age yet where these things happen.
All right.
No. Hold on. My brain. I have like 90% of my brain power dedicated to creation, creativity, writing, problem solving. Only about 2% of my brain is dedicated to memory. I forget everything. It's terrible.
Oh, that looks nice. Sorry, there's alcohol on screen. You've got no choice.
Oh, yeah.
It's Heaven's Door. What is it? Who's it? It's not Bob Dylan or so. Oh, yeah, it's Bob Dylan's whiskey blend. Heaven's Door Revival is what I drank. Not the honey stuff that tastes a little better, but I wanted to drink this one again. So that's what my wife bought a set. She just went out there. Like when I run out of alcohol, she just goes and buys more random alcohol for me. And she knows I like whiskey. Love. So yeah, these guys have turned me into alcoholics. I mean, no, what? All right. We are way over time here. I am not supposed to do this. So that is it for the public portion. Members, hold on. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, members. We got more because I've got notes. Oh, do I have notes for today?
Oh, we're in trouble.
The whole time.
That is it for the public portion of tonight's Game Master Insight. YouTube members, there's more to come, so don't go anywhere. Please leave a comment of who you believe had the most compelling, interesting, or novel position. Did you learn anything? How could you not? Come on. Did you learn anything new that you may try at your table? Let us know in the comments. A sincere thank you to everyone who supported the show with Super Chats, Rumble Rants, and memberships, and to all of you who took the time to join us tonight, whether just for an hour or you're here for the entire time. Finally, thank you very much to tonight's panelists for their time and for Vicky's first time being on here. Hopefully we abused her greatly, and she's like, I'm never going to do this again. Oh, no, it's been a great time. So thank you very much. And for their informative and spirited discussions. Be sure to subscribe to their channels. Check out the Drive-Thru RPGs, whatever links are in the description. They're there for